Sorry says 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itstory@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSory. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sory and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry. We have a stream going on. It's an alliance stream from Sin and Glory.
Sin and Glory.
And the Epic Underground. The first song on tonight is Skid Row, Youth Gone Wild. And this is what the Alliance Sin and Glory has to say. At Sin and Glory, we gave an opportunity for each member to suggest 2 themes that we could use to select songs from, and voted on each of these themes. One of these themes that won was Then and Now, which was put forward by our Chero. This theme had us choosing an artist or a band and choosing 2 songs, one from early in their career, Then, and one from later on their career, Now. The band that won was Skid Row, which was put forth by Mad Maestro. The first song is Youth Gone Wild, which was released off of their self-titled debut album released back in 1989.
All right, here we go. Skid Row. The name of the song is Youth Gone Wild.
Yep, we were just hardly born.
And we're getting chippy here. All right. Here we go. Youth Gone Wild. Let's check it out. If I can get this damn...
Should I tell all the kids? Remember we used to have all the kids shut off the internet?
No, I don't think that's the issue.
Okay.
I don't think that's the issue.
All right.
It's your computer. Whoa.
Wow. I would have thought you were pretty cool. What happened? Are we locked out? What's happening?
It was muted again. This freaking computer. We're live now, though.
Okay. Wait, what were we just saying?
This thing is not impressing me today at all.
What were we just saying? Becky was calling to tell
Becky's
us.
calling us to tell.
She's like, it's muted,
They
you
can't
idiots.
hear us, you morons.
We're back.
God curse
I
this
kept
computer.
I kept thinking that they were gonna say, "We are the youth on fire." I don't know why.
Well, that sounds like something like your church group would have said or something like that. Like, I could definitely see, like, a church group biting off of this song
Yeah.
and being like, we are the youth for Christ.
I don't understand. Yeah,
You know what
for
I'm saying?
sure, 100%. I can't believe that when people wanted to show us Skid Row, this was not the song they showed us.
I
What
know.
the fuck?
I know. This has to be one of their bangers, though.
Yeah, and they
Because,
were
like, the song is
literally-
expiring as hell, and they got that Iron Maiden type riff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he went right with that shit. That made me
It was-
feel a little better.
it was
that
fun.
his chorus went right exactly on line with the guitar riff, because that's pretty much where my writing is right now.
So it made you feel better. Oh,
Yeah. Shout out to Skid Row for that.
Okay, all right. Since I was born, they couldn't hold me down. Another misfit kid, another burned out town. Man, I'll tell you must not have felt like that though.
Well, I mean,
you were in New York.
But I lived in Florida too, and you know.
And it felt like it didn't feel like Maine where I came up.
Nothing feels.
I would have understood this.
Nothing feels like
a burned
Maine.
out town.
Nothing feels like Maine, but every kid feels that way about where they're born.
Not Dorian. He wants to stay right where you.
Well, that's true. Dorian's the exception. He.
Definitely the exception of the rule.
But I'm sure though that once he gets a taste of another way to live,
Yeah, it's
he'll
gonna be
change.
over.
He'll change his tune.
Yeah. Another misfit kid, another burned out town. I never played by the rules. I never really cared. My nasty reputation takes me everywhere. You know, I do think that, like, okay, so Orion is 3, and he has some days where he's like, he's bad. He just won't be good. He's just like, and he looks like, you're gonna have to tell
Bad
me.
fail that kid.
There are some days where he's good and he'll tell me, I'm a good boy today. And like even if he does like a mistake, he'll say, no, I didn't do that. I'm a good boy. Like, cause he thinks, well, he wasn't trying to be bad. So whatever. But then on the days where he's just like, like today was kind of one of those days. He has this little spinner thing and he like put milk in his mouth and then he spit it out on his spinner and then he was spinning it around to make the milk go everywhere. He knows he's not supposed to make a mess like that. Now he had to clean it up. But anyway, the point is, like, I think that there's a lot of teenagers that get misunderstood as being like bad or like he got a nasty reputation, but I'm not so sure like everybody's doing all this badness. You know what I mean? Like, I think that people are like, you broke it. Like, for instance, Orion spitting the milk on that thing. Like, it didn't damage anything. Like, he cleaned it up. It wasn't the end of the world. But I think that people could, that whole thing, like, don't cry over spilled milk. Like, I think that, like, people put all this pressure, I think, on teenagers to be a certain way, or they, like, make them have, like, bad reputations. Like Reza, you could easily see how somebody could say that he was bad, but he doesn't necessarily. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure how many times teenagers, like, kind of react out. They're actually reacting to the environment that they've been given, rather than this is what they would have done if they would have, been given some more understanding.
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of see that to a degree. Teenagedom, especially in the Western world, is a very it's a very tricky situation, and it's not universal. Like this period of adolescence and things like that. That's not a universal phenomenon around the world.
Right.
A lot of places basically once you hit 12 or 13, you're basically looked upon to be as responsible as a man. Mm-hmm. And so teenagedom in the Western world, this transitional period to where you're like kind of an adult, but not an adult. Mm-hmm. You want independence, but you're not independent, so your parents are telling you have to be home by a certain time, and you're like, yo, I'm 16, you shouldn't be telling me what to do. And then the parent says, well, when you're under your own roof, you can make your own rules. Mm-hmm. So there's that tension between the two. Mm-hmm. You know, and like as soon as I told my mom like I can live on my own, she said, no, you can't. You're a head case. Get out. You ain't going nowhere. So then, you know,
She underestimated though.
right out of the psych ward, it was like, she was like, all right, come back home, blah blah blah, and I was like, nah. I don't want to live around you. Like, it's not a healthy environment.
Is that because of what the doctor said? Yeah.
Well, the doctor said, yeah, like a lot of your issue, you do have like some genetic issues as far as depression goes, but as far as like going to the extent that you did, a lot of that is environmental, and you know, there was enough, you know, may Allah have mercy on her, but she provided enough material to where observers were able to say, this is probably not a good environment for this kid to go to, but you know, it was one of those things where, because my stepdad worked in the railroad industry, I don't know what happened, but essentially I was eligible for a benefit until I turned 18 if I went to school. So they basically said, here you go, here's this dingy apartment, and if you stay in school, you'll be covered for like 6 months. And that's what I did. And then at the end of the 6 months, I, you know, went to Burger King, got a job, or like, I would have rather died than gone back home. I would have died. Which would have been a big deal to me, considering how I ended up in that circumstance in the first place. But like, yeah, I would have rather died than go back there. You know what I'm saying? Like, she called me up like a couple months later, like, you proved your point, blah blah blah. I'm like, now that I live by myself, like, I never want to, like, why would I do? You see what I'm saying? Like, but
yeah.
But again, I was like 17, 18 years old. That's still late as far as like independence goes. You know what I'm saying? As far as like what you're supposed. Yeah, I'm talking about like the world history and
because
and
it seems like Americans as of like this time period, it seems like there's like, I don't know, maybe I don't know the numbers, but it seems like there's a lot more people that you can think of that are not doing anything with their lives. 30s, 40s, 50s, like still people still like a 15, 16-year-old, like not a lot of direction, not a lot of drive.
Well, yeah, adolescence has essentially been
like
extended.
Stretched right out.
Yeah, it's extended to like 25 now because dudes aren't marrying her, you know, as early as they used to.
But what happens is sometimes it never turns back around. Like, you have certain privileges when you're young that you don't have when you're old.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
You know, like there's so many times where I tell the kids, I'm like, you have no clue right now. Like, everybody feels stressed wherever they are. Like, whatever you're doing, you feel like you're doing a lot. I'm like, these people, they have no clue. I mean, a typical homeschooler homeschools for 4 hours. Most kids go to school for, 6 to 8 hours, right?
Delaney, my mom wanted to put me in a psych ward because she's crazy. I ain't gonna touch that one, Delaney.
Yikes.
But like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was crazy. I mean,
yeah, but both of you guys needed help.
Yeah. My mom, I mean, she didn't really make the call. I mean, obviously, ending up in the hospital the way I did, like, that wasn't really her call. Uh-huh. I mean, it was out of her hands at that point. Right, yeah. I mean, she wanted me there, but it was out of her hands. But yeah, like, yeah, when you're young and you're a teenager, it's like, but there was also a lot of pressure. I remember in high school, like, especially around junior year, you start seeing your friends getting these letters back from colleges and shit and universities, and I just wasn't there, man. Like, I was surprised that, I got to 10th grade. You know what I'm saying? And I was surprised that, I was still in that school. That was one of the bad consequences of moving around a lot. Like, there was a lot of times when, like, I didn't go to a graduation or whatever because we just moved. You see what I'm saying? So, like, you spend, like, a good 4 or 5 months in the school, you're getting your grades up or whatever, and, like, there's no there's no nothing. And then you land in some place. And sometimes if we'd land in a place and it'd be, like, 4 or 5 weeks left of school, my mom would just keep us. She would just say, screw it. And, we weren't going to volunteer to go to school. So by the time I hit high school, like, my grades were not at a place where I was going to graduate on time. And, like, even if I did graduate on time, it would be, like, with a D. And so, like, you get other people, friends that are starting to get these letters. And they're talking about, like, where they're going and what they're going to do. And I remember, like, feeling panicked. Like, I remember one of my friends, he was goofy, just a real goofy kid. He didn't even hang out with us, but he was just kind of a goofy kid. He was getting like 3 or 4 letters, and he was going to be a pharmacy tech or some shit. I'm like, this kid is a goof troop, and he's gonna be a pharmacy tech. Like, what am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
did you have the words of, you know, you've mentioned before that somebody was said that you're only gonna work at a convenience store.
Oh yeah,
like, was
yeah,
that also
yeah.
in your head, and then everybody's getting the letters?
Of course,
and...
yeah, of course. And I heard from one of my, you know, it's my mom, God bless her, but she was telling my little brother he's gonna work at 7-Eleven for the rest of his life. Blah blah blah. That was the first time
Do you think that added to the mental breakdown?
No.
Oh wait, what were you just gonna say?
That was the first time I considered like anything relative to the military.
Oh really?
I was like, well, I know I can fight. You know,
Yeah.
I know I can.
Yeah.
I know I can keep my head in a bad situation. And so it's crazy because that summer, there was a summer right before 9/11. I was watching the History Channel, and they had done this big thing on D-Day and the Ranger bat and all this, and like I became obsessed with the Rangers, the Army Rangers. I didn't know anything. I didn't hear about any Navy SEAL shit until I came to Maine actually, and our neighbor helped me move in, and he just got done his rotation. This is like 2 months before 9/11. He had just gotten out.
Oh, he just got out?
He had just gotten out, and
Did he regret it? Such interesting.
some of the stuff that he did, you know, it's like the first time, like he had a guy on a scope, and it was his turn to drop the dude. You know, he talked about like having a problem with that.
Yeah.
But
no, I didn't mean that, but that is also an interesting question. I meant, did he regret getting out? I mean, right before 9/11.
I never talked to him because after 9/11 happened,
you know what I'm saying?
After 9/11 happened.
So you don't know if he jumped back in or anything like that.
Nah,
like, I feel like
nah,
that put a lot of
that
strain
guy-
on a relationship, I think.
Yeah, him and his wife used to like do karate and shit outside. Like,
Oh, they were the couples that did that?
I'd watch them, and
okay.
they, you know how crazy those dudes are with fitness and shit. Like, I mean, they're maniacal. But yeah, like that was the first time I ever thought to myself, like, yo, maybe I should do the military because like I'm not good at anything, and everybody's like, you know. And then I thought, you know,
That's so crazy because I like literally you're good at. I mean, there's there's so many things that if you just put your mind to it, you're good at.
yeah, but at the time, like, I'm not. I don't learn things conventionally. I don't do things conventionally. My mind doesn't work conventionally. It's a weakness in some areas and a strength in other areas. But because of that, you have to talk to me and get to me in a certain way. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is just tell me what to do and then tell me I have this much time and I'll figure it out. And like the process of getting there, of figuring out something difficult inside of a deadline, like I love that shit. I love the pressure. I love all that. But that's not how normal school is formulated. It's not how businesses formulate. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something where like once I got into the working world, I did much better. Because the working world was basically a meritocracy and a competition. If you can outdo people, and I figured out, aside from all the racial shit or whatever, if you can be better than everybody and you can convince that company that you're making them the most money, then they're going to keep you. So once I figured that out, you know, my career took off, you know, and I was able to leverage, you know, but yeah, it was a hard time as a teenager, man, because nobody told me. Everybody was like, you're going to be a loser. Like everybody was like, "You're gonna
not that teacher though."
Yeah, I had one English teacher.
Your lit teacher.
My English lit teacher believed in me and thought I was like the next Malcolm X or something, like white lady.
She saw it.
She saw. You're right. She saw. But everybody else, it was like,
yeah,
you know, forget. So my thing was like, I'm definitely,
see that?
definitely.
Do you know?
I have no idea. I have no idea how she saw it.
You must have answered some question. I bet you anything. She asked some. This is how I always try to figure. I always think of. Well, I don't always think about it, but when I do think about the story, I picture that probably what happened is she asked some question in class, and you did know the information, and she did not think. You know, like whenever there's in the movies.
Yeah, we were
or whatever.
talking about Lord of the Flies, and she was asking why the kids were wearing masks, and everybody was like Halloween, blah blah blah. I'm like.
And you said what?
I said to maintain anonymity, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, I was annoyed by it. She was like, what? You know, she thought it was like the biggest thing in the world. And I was like,
but everybody comes with the basic
obvious.
idea that it's Halloween-y.
It was obvious.
And then that's like this really...
They started doing all this shit to each other.
Yeah,
so
but honey, if you look at the
situation,
situation and you have all your students are saying Halloween and you have one that gets it, you're like, holy shit, finally one gets it.
Yeah, she thought. But that's the thing about teenagers. That's why, like, I think I've adopted the love for teenagers that you have because
I think you are coming around to it too.
yeah, because you love you love that little time period in their life when the boys are goofy and
I do.
they're trying to figure themselves
It's
out. It's
almost like nonstop teasing with Johan and I. He's always trolling me. I'm always doing stuff to troll. I just had him locked out of the house. I was cooking, and he took my barbecue sauce and went out the front door with it laughing. It was cold outside. So I followed behind him laughing. I shut the door, and I stuck my foot so he couldn't get back in the house. And, of course, now he's 14. So it was, like, humiliating because he couldn't get back in. His mom was holding the door shut. But when he got back in, I was like, honey, it's literally a rubber sneaker. You'd have to push rubber across the carpet. That's the only way to get the door open because I had leveraged my foot in there. But yeah, it's a blast. I'm having a real blast with the boys. I'm hoping that, I'm going to get more time with the girls to kind of tap into the blast side of the girls too, because I never really got like that because they're different. They're not like, they don't banter like boys do.
What, the girls?
Girls are just, they're different, and I have to,
Yeah, but I definitely, like, this would have been my anthem if I'd have got this growing up. Even, even in the early 2000s, it still would have been my anthem.
89.
Yeah, because that's true. Like, feeling like you're always on trial. Like, I was a middle child.
Yeah, it's just constant.
So, like, and then, of course, we go out into the field and there'd be cops and all that shit, and they're always looking at you. The thing is that the cops, like, 9 times out of 10 when the cops are grilling me and shit and hey, because they'd always mess with you, like, do you have anything on you, blah, 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 blah. Because I left New York right before stop and frisk, so they couldn't just go and just, like, feel you up. We'd have been in a lot of trouble. But, like, they would ask you and all this, and it was like a cat and mouse type game. So you were always on trial, especially me. But the thing is, by the time I became a teenager, 9 times out of 10, the people accusing me were right. See what I'm saying? Because now I did get to the point where I'm like, you know what? If everybody's gonna keep saying this about me, I'm just gonna, like, validate the shit. Because I didn't see the value. I didn't see the value in being actually innocent if I kept getting in trouble. Like, I remember very clearly a conversation with my older brother. I'd be like, yeah, but I'm getting in trouble all the time anyway, and I'm still getting, like, the consequences of being, and I'm still getting introduced as being the bad one in the family, and always dragging down the family. So
why not just do the stuff?
Why I'm not getting any pleasure out of this? I'm not getting any enjoyment.
But there's something that people always misunderstand I think that people don't recognize the value of, I guess, peace inside or not having darkness inside of you, especially if you slowly become more and more dark. You don't realize, like, how dark it's being inside. So when you get accused of something and you're actually innocent, if you can just settle it in yourself and say, like, between myself and God, I know I'm innocent, and these people think that I'm guilty, but that's whatever. But if you do the dumb shit that you and I both did, where we're like, we're gonna get accused of it, we might as well do it. But when you actually do those actions, there is a certain darkness that you let into your soul that does have an effect in your life as you carry it out. I mean, I
don't know.
Oh, God. Go ahead.
I don't feel like it made me a fundamentally dark person by
doing the things that you were being accused of doing?
Yeah, from my mom's side, yeah, because my mom didn't know half the shit I was doing. And I didn't feel bad about carrying shit when the cops were coming after me, because I'm like, but were you they're doing going home to the suburbs, man. The
question is, did you do anything sinful as a result of you saying, fuck it, you're going to accuse me of this, I'm going to do it?
Well, of course, but
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think that made me a particularly dark person.
Does it darken a person?
Not more than any other normal sin would darken a person. I don't think that there were, like, I don't think it made me, like, uniquely corrupt.
No, I didn't say anything about uniquely
because,
corrupt.
like I said, the shit that my mom was accusing me of was like child's play. It wasn't even the things that I was really on. She wasn't even knowledgeable about the shit that I was really about. You see what I'm saying? So I'm getting accused of, like, stealing a penny when I'm making a living robbing banks would be the analogy. So like, that stuff didn't make me into a dark person. It looked like your experience of, like, saying fuck you to your parents.
So you were just that definitely, yeah.
But the shit that they were accusing you of was worse than what you were actually doing.
True. Oh.
See what I'm
that's
saying?
interesting.
The shit my mom accused me of was a lot less than what I was actually doing. See what I'm saying? Because she couldn't conceive of somebody from our household doing X, Y, and Z. That's my point. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the accusations...
That is so interesting.
The
Right,
accusations hurt me in the sense of, like...
Why would
do
it
you think
hurt you
so?
then?
Why do you think so little of me?
What do you mean? She was accusing you of less than what you were doing.
Yeah, but she was still accusing me of something I didn't do. So that hurt my feelings because it's my mom.
Really?
Yeah, because my mom. But as far as, like, did the things make me Nah, it didn't make me darker. I mean, me being upset about being accused made me dark, and I'd go, you know, you could take it out on other people, or they take it out on you, but, like, yeah, it didn't make me a particularly dark person. I know you're probably trying to communicate some spiritual truth to the youth, but listen to her, don't listen to me. It'll make you a dark person. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely can see it. I'm still confused as to... I mean, that's your experience. And I can't even imagine my parents accusing me of doing something less than what I was doing and being upset about that. Like, if I was robbing banks and they were like, I can't believe you're stealing pennies from old ladies, I'd be like, okay. Like, for me, I don't feel like that would affect me. But I was accused of doing worse than what I was doing, and that was really hurtful. So it's hard to even imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
and like, you being upset about that makes a hell of a lot of sense to me.
yeah, because they're like, you're this type of person.
For
Well,
sure,
the thing is,
for
I
sure.
was that type of person. I was fighting it, though. That was what the trouble was.
Yeah, so how could you get dark when they read you properly?
Because I wasn't doing it. But now I said, yeah. Honestly, they were, to be honest with you, if we could just have an honest conversation, I would probably say they were a convenient foil because I wanted to do the things that they were accusing me of, but I was fighting that shit. And then when they started accusing me of it, I was like, well, now I'm gonna have to do it. But I kept telling myself, like, this makes me feel better because I'm fighting a man, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like, I could feel that it was not good for me.
They definitely captured that youth angst in the song.
Yeah, they did such a great job.
And if I was a young person listening to that shit, this would be my jam. I would blast this shit to the rooftops.
And he didn't make it just about himself. He wasn't just like,
he said,
they call me a problem child. It's us. We spend our lives. It's like this, like, all of us that are in the same situation. Let's come together.
That's when I discovered...
Skid Row, man.
That's why when I discovered Korn, they had, like, the whole thing, oh, you're a Korn kid. The Korn kid's going crazy. I'm like, yeah, I'm a Korn kid. Fuck that shit. Yeah, I'm a Korn kid. I don't care what y'all say. I was proud of that shit. It's like Korn kid for life, bitches. I really, really like the song. I like the song a lot. This has got to be one of their bangers. It's like a 9.7. But this has got to be
9.8.
This has got to be one of their popular songs.
So this was at the beginning.
I'm not familiar with a lot of these bands, but I could tell when I'm like, yo, that had got to be at least like a top 10 song. Like if we had like a Revo style thing and Revo would tell us like where they ended up in the top 10. This has got to be a song for by the way, shout out to Sean James, by the way. LaShawn James.
Shout out to my Aunt Lisa. Skid Row's her band, right? Wasn't that the big one from back in the day?
Yeah, I think it was. Shout out to
That's
Aunt
right.
Lisa. Gang shit.
All right, you guys.
You can send her this review. I'm sure your Aunt Lisa was part of the youth gone. Was that the one I saw when
the blonde one?
Oh yeah. She was definitely on some shit. I guarantee Aunt Lisa, don't lie. Was it Matem? Is that how you say it?
No. That's the other side of the family. Matout would be on that side of the family.
Don't lie, Aunt Lisa. We know you out there. The Skid Row and shit.
Having fun.
With the neon colors.
Rebelling
and shit. Probably saying words like shit.
All right. Yeah.
We are the youth gone wild. Yeah, this has got to be a classic song. Got to be a classic song.
Oh no! Don't tell sorry.
The lead singer is called Sebastian Bach.
I changed my mind about the rating of this song.
Speaking of Archero,
right,
shout out to Archero, buddy. Love you. Gang shit. Okay.
9.8.
9.7.
We're gonna have a special picture coming up later.
Shout out to Aunt Lisa. Gang shit. I'll check you later. All right, we shall return, dear listener. The day has just begun. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are in the midst of a
It's
Sin
an
and
alliance
Glory
stream.
with the Epic Underground stream.
If you want to know what the alliances are on Patreon. So if you jump onto Patreon, that's how you can join us. Yeah, join us there, and it's $1 a month if you want to jump into there. In the meantime, we are doing this alliance, but what the first thing that we're doing is it's like a Skid Row then and now thing. So we just listened to one song, which was way at the beginning of their repertoire, and that song was called Youth Gone Wild. It was a really good one. Now we're gonna do
classic.
Yeah, now we're gonna
We
do
are the youth gone wild. I'm trying out for the vocalist for the band. We are the youth gone wild. So you guys know.
Okay, here's the Sin and Flory. I'm assuming that was a typo, but it says Sin and Flory, so I'm going to stick with it. Maybe he's shouting out to somebody. Sin and Flory's now pick from Skid Row. This song is Tear It Down, which is released in 2022 off their album The Gang's All Here. All right, you guys, let's check it out.
Here we go.
And we'll let you know if we like their then or their now better.
Oh, well.
That first song was so good, though.
That's going to be a tough song. That's going to be a tough song to beat. That's going to be a tough song to beat. Let's do it.
Persistent.
Who are you strangers to judge me, she said.
Man, Skid Row. Okay, if somebody was like, we're having a Skid Row party, I would go.
You would go.
I would go, yes.
I would go as well.
I think that I think there's gonna be fun involved.
Yeah, because you and Emily and alcohol, I feel like that's a bad combination.
With Emily?
Yeah. She said she'd be in on a couple Heineken and dancing. Who are you strangers to judge me?
She just meant dancing.
And then if you got in there and started saying that, yeah, I'm afraid for her, not the other way around.
Oh. I just thought that you'd be concerned like that if Amy was here. Because you already said me and Amy.
No, I'd be terrible. Well, see, Amy was there. You guys would end up on the top of the fucking table.
Well, that was
Like she takes your corruption and goes in high. So we had Emily, and then we have you would corrupt Emily, and then Amy would corrupt the both of you. It would just be a giant
Poor
disaster.
Emily.
It would be a disaster.
All right, Emily. Sorry, I can't go with you. I don't want to be a corrupting influence on you. Okay, we talked about Big Brother in this.
Big Brother.
Yeah, Big Brother was in here right there. It kind of threw me. All my Big Brothers just hear me now. But Big Brother's watching. He's everywhere.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. That's a
some government.
That's a 1984 reference.
Yeah,
with it's basically
revolutions in the air,
dystopian future, and you know the hyper monitoring that the government did in this dystopian novel 1984. It's a classic novel, and it's quasi prescient at some levels because of all the things that are happening now. But I will say,
you want to just say that in
relative to
quasi prescient, like basically like it was prophetic and people didn't realize it.
Yeah, basically, it's like one of those things that like accidentally became prophetic.
I see. Yeah.
See, the thing about
quasi, what does quasi mean?
Quasi means not really there. Like it's being sold as such, but it's
Quasimodo or something like that. Wasn't there like something like that on the?
Yeah, Quasimodo is the actual guy's name, though.
Oh, that was his name. His name was Quasi, and you just said
Quasimodo was his name.
Yeah, but that's still
was it the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yeah,
his name was Quasimodo. But no, quasi is an adjective. Just basically means like a facade.
Yeah, but the guy's name, half of his name is Quasi, which is like a facade.
Yeah,
I don't think that's weird.
I don't think that they're related.
Because it's another language. Oh, I'm not saying they're related. I'm just saying it would be weird to name your kid like that. Anyway, right. Go ahead. The person obviously had a lot of problems, and you would do that on top of it. Go ahead.
Who had a lot of problems?
Quasimodo. Being a hunchback.
You're saying his name was another one of his problems.
Well, yeah, like, I mean...
I thought Quasimodo was a cool name when I was a kid. Are you kidding me?
What did you just say quasi means?
The adjective quasi or the prefix quasi means that something isn't real, but but this is his name. It'd be like, like the Desert of Sin, S-I-N, and it's like, oh my God, it's the Desert of Sin. Well, no.
Yeah, but you know how kids are. I'm sure you got picked on.
Okay, I don't want to. Carry on. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think Nobody made fun of him when he was for having the name Quasimodo.
How do you know anything about his childhood? It doesn't matter. That's not what the song's about. Okay, so we've got Big Brother watching us. It starts out with saying, "A stranger's knocking, leave me alone. Mindless persistence has cut me to the bone. Turned on the
devil vision,"
which is like television, right?
"and took away my breath, but I won't let him sell me that I was scared to."
But I think it was supposed to be tell me. Or
that I was scared to death. Yeah. He's probably
what?
He's probably talking about like all the fear mongering that's been happening since 2019 relative to COVID. I don't know if people remember, but I remember like when COVID first dropped.
Been that long. That's
Michael Moore posted it on his channel, the first million dead, and he was saying we're gonna have 1 million people dropped by the month. And then he said, like...
Michael Moore?
Yeah.
How does he know anything about that?
Oh, I mean, he didn't know.
So he just put all that fear out into the ether?
He just did that because he wanted to blame Trump. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to put Trump responsible for it. And then he talked about, like, we were going to have to ration the vaccines because we weren't going to get the vaccines early enough. And he was going to say that you should ask people, in order to triage, how do you decide who to give the vaccine to and who not to? Yeah, you ask people, do you believe in evolution?
Oh, wait.
And are you pro-choice? And if you say, no, you don't believe in evolution and that you're not pro-choice, then you don't get a vaccine, according to Michael Moore. That's literally what he said. Yeah, like, dude hates us. Like, he absolutely hates us. But,
crazy.
But, yeah, there was a ton of fear-mongering at that time period, like people being terrified, scared to death.
That is so crazy. That is
I'm not a robot. I'm not a clone. You build a rocket. I'll drive it home. My eyes are bleeding. Call it the sound.
So move the mountain, gonna take it, gonna break it, and then he's gonna go.
I'm not a robot. I'm not a clone. You built the rocket. I'll drive it home. I didn't
You build the
understand that
rocket.
reference.
You build the rocket. I'll drive it home. I think that's probably a reference to like Elon Musk, because he's got this goal of getting us all to Mars.
Okay.
So I think what he's saying is like, yeah, dude, build the rocket, and I'm gonna go to Mars because the Earth is crazy at this point. See what I'm saying?
What does it have to do with move the mountain? Can't kill the sound, so move the mountain.
My eyes are bleeding, can't kill the sound, so move the mountain, gonna see it, gonna break it, and then he talks about tear it down.
Yeah, no wall's too big for me right now.
Right. So he's talking about moving mountains, and then the next line he talks about tearing it down, because there's no wall too big for him.
Yeah, and what is he saying that wall
He's saying
is?
no matter what the government or Big Brother puts in his way, he's gonna overcome it. He's either gonna move it or he's gonna tear it down. Nobody's gonna tell me what to do. No motherfucker's gonna tell us how. Because during the time... Vin, I'm just gonna zip it. Nah, don't zip it. Go for it. Go for it if you want to go for it.
Yeah, Vin never encourages people to hold anything back.
Yeah, especially in this song. I mean, I think that's the sentiment. The sentiment is like, see, here's what I always said during the COVID situation. I said, okay, I'm going to mask. I'm going to social distance. I'm doing that voluntarily because I think it's...
I was surprised you did.
I said, I'm going to do it voluntarily but I said, the minute that we allow the government to do it, we're screwed because the government never gives back rights. And the first thing I did was talk about the USA Patriot Act. Everybody was terrified after 9/11. All of a sudden, in came like this 1,500-page document that they drafted in like 3 days, supposedly, or whatever it was. And then they never repealed the Patriot Act once the threat levels got lower. Right. They never repealed it. So my whole thing during the COVID was, we should do this. Private businesses can make those claims, but I'm like, once the government does it, we can no longer support it because they're not going to give us that right back. And, you know, we have to learn from the mistakes of the Patriot Act. Like, was there a legitimate threat? Yes, there obviously was. 9/11 happened. But did we want to give the government that kind of control? No. I mean, and it was funny because it was the left at the time was saying, yo, this Patriot Act thing, I don't know, bro. This is pretty bad. And then you know how they were doing the whole COVID, you know, mandate thing. So I think people were really resentful. People who considered themselves to be free people were very, very resentful of this idea that the government could come in, tell them where to go, issue a curfew, all types of weird shit.
Right.
You know, they took the mask personally. I didn't care about them. I mean, I had one altercation with somebody in Walmart because, like, you know, I had been pretty compliant the other time. Like, I'd been fairly compliant. I felt like we did our part as far as trying to keep everybody safe with the information that we had. Now it's come out that the information that we had was not very accurate. The CDC held back a lot of very important information. We know that ivermectin is not horse glue or whatever the thing that CNN was saying. Like, there was just so much. See, my thing is, like, during that time period, I'm okay with a large swath of forgiveness for people because, you know, I understand the panic that was happening and things like that. And we lost people. You know, I was never afraid as far as us personally. Like, we're pretty healthy people. I'm not afraid on either side because people were getting myocarditis whether or not you had the shot because it was a respiratory issue. But, like, I was definitely afraid for members in my family who were 70 plus years old, and I still am because it's still COVID is still killing people.
Yeah, I hear
it's just if you're like morbidly obese or extremely old, like, you're going to be in the danger zone. But aside from that, I feel like most people, like, you can give them the assumption of goodwill relative to this, but then there are other players, people like Fauci, things like that, where I'm like, yo, they should be facing some, like, time, like prison time.
I agree. 100%.
Like, there should be some accountability for it, but it looks like that's what was going on.
Entire groups of people like that, and then shut down. People were posting stuff. You posted stuff, and then your stuff got blocked and hidden, and all this stuff when you were posting the truth. Like, there was we
got a warning on this channel for
medical misinformation
for saying the truth.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't go back and fix that.
They haven't gone back.
In my opinion, YouTube, as soon as that information came out, they should have personally put out an apology video to any channels that got, you know, demonetized or shut down or any of the stuff due to what they thought was misinformation. And then, you know, do something. Friggin' put everybody's name on a giant fucking list in alphabetical order so people can go in there and see that YouTube personally apologized to you since they blocked your video for that.
Yeah, Becky
when you
said,
told the truth.
Becky said, I said no and I was right. I'm not sure for your personal case that you were right, Becky. Especially, and I'm only saying this, Becky, you have a lifestyle that essentially makes a vaccine a non-issue for you. But your lifestyle, and you know what I'm talking about, Becky, your lifestyle is not the norm, right? So there's a sense in which you were already practicing mega social distancing. I think you and I can agree on that. So you're not the average case. So I'm willing to give you like a 70% on the rightness or wrongness of your mindset relative to COVID. And I have no problem with saying, with being wrong on anything. You guys know that. I think, like I said, I'm with those thousands of doctors who signed that I think it was the Great Something Declaration that basically says if you're extremely overweight or you're 70 plus, you should consider the vaccine and some mild social distancing to a degree, like have the Walmart deliver your food, all that type of stuff. But I think this song is tapping into that resentment of like what was going on at the time. And the thing about here's my thing about like governments making mistakes and things like that. I don't have a problem with that so long as we learn from those mistakes and we learn from those errors. Yeah. And that's my problem. Like, it doesn't seem that the government or the people learn from things. Like I was talking about the Patriot Act. It's like we can, and you had all these leftists going for government mandates. Why doesn't the government mandate? I'm like, you guys were the ones that were against the Patriot Act. How could you support this? Mm-hmm. So it's like
people were scared.
It's the mind. Yeah, it's the fear, but it's also like the short memory. Like, use these and gather data and project into the future. Like, it's probably, is it more or less likely that these people, are going to abuse the power if you give it to them? And is the ramifications of that abuse of power more or less worse than what that abuse of power is supposed to curtail? That's a hard question. But that's a question I feel like should be left to the American populace and not left to like 300 people in Washington. See what I'm saying?
I agree.
Like that's
I agree.
See, my thing is like, if there was a legitimate like real pandemic where social distancing and masks would have made like a major difference, like get that information in front of the American people and hold some sort of a emergency vote or something, poll or something like that lasts 2 weeks. What do you want us to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure that the American people, especially when you got self-interest on the line and the interest of your children, I'm sure we would vote in a very rational, reasonable way that's going to promote the most life. It's just, it doesn't seem that our government believes in us. Like, the most naive way of looking at it is to say, it looks like our government doesn't believe in us. The most cynical way of looking at it is to say, they were just using this as power and control from the beginning, and they knew there was never an issue ever, and this was kind of a dry run to see how compliant people will be.
I mean, or there's a third one that says, when it started out, like, they were putting on all of these controls and stuff because they believed that was the way it was, but once those are in place, it's like, are they going to take them away? Like, when I look back at what the government did, like bringing in the drugs into the black communities to be able to really mess up the families, because this was after the slaves had been freed, and it was just a way of, the same thing as like, starting the cops so that way they could go after the black people, and if there was all these rules that could basically just bring them back into slavery, but we could look like we weren't bringing you back into slavery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so when you see that the government is doing stuff like that, and that people didn't realize, and everybody just kind of like went along with it, and like an entire community of people is still to this day reaping the negative benefits of what the government did to them. Like, the government planned that from deep. They did that, and they waited it out for the years to pass for the fallout to happen, for the black men to be in jail, so the families would fall out, and put, there's all that stuff going on. So when you see the government planning something like that to go after a certain community, then you say to yourself, okay, well, what else will they do? And how deep will they plan? Like, did our government, all of this is just, it's all guesses. Nobody knows for sure. But there are question marks like, well, did the government have anything to do with it? Why didn't they, why they did put all these, the masking and the curfews and all the different stuff like that, but none of that stuff had like an end date. And there are lots of laws that are still hanging around that, I mean, that's how, what was it, DeSantis, when he went in and he used an old law to go after
from
people.
1947.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have to, if that was set up where they were like, okay, every 6 months, these things that are like hyper like infringing on our freedoms, like those things every 6 months have to be revisited, like as a community we're going to do. And like you said, all of us should be involved in that decision making. This shouldn't be just like the government is not our parents. What do you mean?
Yeah, especially since they had no idea either. You had Nancy Pelosi saying, I'm going to Chinatown, everybody hug a Chinese person. Well, it was like, well, no, he was right there. Trump was right there. But that's the other side of it, is that we were caught in this political craziness. Like one example to me is ivermectin. Ivermectin is it's a wonder drug. I mean, it's been used for so many good things in human beings for decades.
Okay.
And like CNN, like Joe Rogan, his doctor prescribed him ivermectin. Remember when CNN
they changed the color? They made it more green to make him look bad. It was horrible.
Look bad. He had like COVID. He got his ass kicked for like 1 day with COVID. He had ivermectin in his regular regimen, and he was like back at it like 2 or 3 days later. And CNN like literally filtered him to make him look sicker than he was, and all the rest of it, because ivermectin first came out. It got popularized because Trump made a suggestion about it. So immediately they had to politicize it and say, well, if Trump says it's bad, it's got to be bad if Trump support. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like it became this thing, and like up until like a month ago, I had somebody saying like horse medicine or whatever relative to ivermectin. I'm like, wow, you're still saying that shit? Like that's not true. And secondly, it wasn't like Joe Rogan decided he was going to get ivermectin. His doctor prescribed it.
Yeah.
And like he brought Sanjay Gupta from CNN onto his show and like, yo, why did you guys lie about me? And like dude was basically like, yeah, I can't really answer for that. I'm like, yo, that's crazy to me. So, like, I'm sorry, man. Now, the next time something happens, man, forget it. Like, I'm not listening to them people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
It's just too much lying.
I don't know.
Unbelievable.
I don't know. I like this song. I was trying to
grab that picture, but
I like this song. It's interesting. Like, this band really hasn't strayed from their sound. Like,
no,
it's like
but they
40,
got bigger with it.
It's like 40 years later, and it pretty much sounds like the
true. But they're older now, and you would think that it would be harder for them to project out that same like kind of sound. And I think that their sound got bigger. I think that they got more confident in their sound. And
yeah, I'm not sure if it's a criticism. I'm not sure if it's a criticism or if it's a compliment. But yeah, they definitely maintained their sound and their identity.
Or they picked songs that were similar.
Right. Yeah. Which pretty
too,
much.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the band. I'm definitely a fan of their music. I like them. I
definitely like the first song better than this one, though.
I do
if
too.
we're comparing.
Wait.
The Youth Gone Wild?
Topic or sound?
Topic and sound.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that song is a classic song to me.
Yeah.
I don't know about everybody else, but that song seems like the classic Skid Row song to me. This one's getting a solid 9.
8.9.
All right, dear listener. All right.
9. I'm sorry, 9 even.
All right. 2 9 evens for Skid Row. The day has just begun, dear listener.
More songs.
Never you fail. Never you fail. We shall return with more metal goodness coming your way. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone. Shout out to Isaac. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itstory@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSory. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sory and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are in the midst of a combined song day with Sin and Glory with the Epic Underground. These are both 2 of our premier
alliances.
Alliances. Yeah, so join them. You get
They meet up on Discord. If you want to join them, you gotta get the link through Patreon.
Yes.
Starting out at $1 a month. All right, you guys. Amanda Palmer up next. A Mother's Confession is the name of the song.
Oh boy.
Yikes. Brombit was the winner of this year's March Madness contest. Congratulations, Brombit.
Congrats!
Pretty sure Brombit's the one that's always pointing out the title mistakes when I spell something wrong or whatever. Pretty sure you're the one that always says it. I'm like, man, she needs to have a special number so she can be like, hey. So I can update him. Because I usually see it in the comment section. Anyway, the correctly picked, Artero says she correctly picked both San Diego State and Miami to make the Final Four. So next time you buy a lottery ticket, you better take Brombit with you. This song is her pick for winning the contest. Amanda Palmer, you all, A Mother's Confession.
Congrats, Brombit, congrats. We got the lyrics on that joint.
About to get it.
Oh boy, here we go. Mother's Confession. Let's do it.
Our son is 4 months old. His name is Anthony, or Ash for short, and he's too small to do things by himself. We were in LA over Christmas in a rental, and we jury-rigged a place to change his diapers on a shelf. I was peeing in the bathroom and had left for just a second, 'cause I thought he couldn't move and he was safe. When I got out, I saw him falling in slow motion to the floor. It was probably the worst moment of my life. And then I accidentally stole a thing of chapstick from the Safeway. I didn't see it till we got out to the car. I would have usually returned it, but I was overwhelmed and late to take the baby to my cousins down in Carmel Bay. In my defense, I'd bought like $87 worth of groceries, and the chopstick was $1.99. I know it wasn't the right thing to use my newborn child as an excuse, but it felt like a good reason at the time. And as I pulled out of the parking lot, I cried. And as I pulled out on the highway, I said, right. At least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die. And then we went to Sarasota to see Neil's cousin Helen for her birthday. She just turned 99. We were also there for Sydney, who was 94 2 days before, but he was sick, so mostly it was Ash and Helen time. She survived the Warsaw Ghetto, and she always says I love you, and she sees you 'cause she knows you never know. She'd worked for months while I was pregnant on a gorgeous handmade blanket, her almost 100-year-old hands crocheting every row. I'd been emailing her pictures of the baby and the blanket every day since she had sent it in the mail. But they were of one that someone else had knitted. She was really nice about it. Then I went and shoplifted a pair of ugly sunglasses from Goodwill. They were on my head. I tried them on and left them there, but that's not really bad compared to when we left the baby in the car. At least he wasn't in there very long, and not directly in the sun. And thank God no one walking by happened to notice what we'd done. I'm even scared to put these lyrics in a song. But everything is relative, and everyone's related. I can't do that much right now, but take care of this baby. I figure everything is technically alright, if at least this baby doesn't die. And then I took a plane to Washington alone so we could visit Jason Webley, who's his godfather and plays a mean accordion. I couldn't wait to see him and share tales of our disasters over dinners in his houseboat. When I saw I'd lost my passport, so I got a rush appointment at the place where you replaced them, and I drove the baby in, and on the way I got a speeding ticket. When the cop came to the window, I was shaking and I said, I'm sorry, but you couldn't hear me. That's how loud the sound of screaming was, 'cause he was hungry, and I think that I was speeding, 'cause I panic when I hear him cry. My God, what kind of mother am I? And as I pulled out of the breakdown lane, I cried. And as I pulled out on the highway, I said, right. At least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die. While I was waiting for my passport, I was hungry, so I twittered for a coffee in the neighborhood. And there I saw a woman who was sitting at the bar, and it was noon and she was drinking, and she called across the diner to me, "How old is your baby?" And she smiled at us nursing, and she said she had a daughter who was grown. And then she paused and said she also had a son. And when I'd paid and was about to leave, I picked him up and crossed the room and touched her sleeve. I said, "Hey, this baby wanted to say hi." And she held him tight and started to cry. And I'm sorry that this story's gotten long, and that everybody's crying in this song. And then I got back to the car and turned the radio and heater on and sat there with the baby in the back. And they were talking about Syria and climate change and ISIS and the candidates' positions on Iraq. I feel so useless in this universe. I know I could be doing worse. I'm trying hard to stay at peace inside. I know it's hard to be a parent, but this mess is so gigantic. I wonder if I should have had a child. And as I pulled out of the parking lot, I cried. And as I pulled out on the highway, I said, "At least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die." Everybody! At least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die. Keep on going. I may not make it to the passport place on time, and they might revoke my license for a while, and I might get caught for retroactive theft, and I might get turned into the TSS, but at least the baby didn't die.
Oh my gosh. What an interesting song. There's so much to say about this song. Literally in every category.
Yeah.
One,
I am so interested. I was looking at the comment section.
yeah, it's blowing up.
It was very fascinating to watch the comment section.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Okay, so I would say the production was interesting because it was sort of bland and boring and didn't necessarily have like these giant whatever.
No, it's just her and her piano.
But
She doesn't have a particularly...
in the way that she did her voice, it was almost like talk singing, and nothing was like super extreme.
It was almost spoken wordy.
Yeah. Which I thought that was perfect, especially like given the topic. And as she's going through it and like kind of like a life of a mother type of thing. And it, like a lot of the life of a mother is the same things day in, day out. She kind of kept that sound.
A lot of this, in my view, has to do with a lot of folks in the comment section don't know what it's like to be a mother.
Right. I agree.
So I have no, like, I completely understand, especially most people are inclined to metal. I completely understand. But, like, as a dude that has, like, watched you, like, this song resonated with me a lot. This was a deeply meaningful song to me. Just watching you and your struggles as a mom and all the rest of it. But go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I want to hear.
So interesting.
I want to hear your view of the song first, and then we'll jump on it.
So at first, when she said our son is 4 months old, his name is Anthony, Ash for short, it was so like common because I was thinking, oh, we have Seneca, and he's just over 4 months. He's more like 5.5 months, and we call him Sen for short. And so I'm like, well, it's not even short, but that is his little nickname, Sen. And then he's too small to do things by himself. Oh, it also matched. Then we were in LA over Christmas in a rental, and we were jerry-rigged. And we jerry-rigged a place to change his diapers on a shelf. And I thought of when we just went for Zoe's birthday to go to Applebee's. Yeah. And I had to take one of the kids to go get him changed in the bathroom. And I do not like using changing tables. They gross me out. And I used to have, like, seriously, like, all these sanitizers that I would sanitize a thing, then their own mat. No, I had, like, the setup. I don't do any of that anymore. So I'm like, I went in, I'm using paper towels, laying them on those. But, like, so that was, like, very relatable. The jerry-rig situation, like, parents find themselves in these situations. It was just so common. A place to change his diaper on a shelf. I was peeing in the bathroom and left for just a second. Ooh, this part was sad because, again, if you have kids, then you know this feeling, like, I've never met a mother that didn't see their child falling off of something. The first time that they start moving around and they haven't been moving for months and you don't realize that it's that time, and then they end up falling. Selah fell off a bed. And, like, when I saw her falling off the bed, it was like, and you feel like literally like the worst person. Like, you're their mom, you're supposed to protect them, and you friggin' let them fall off a bed, and they're not even like, there's not even any of this, like, they do nothing to protect themselves, they just, and they're just fall. So you feel really bad, and then again, that's like something that's so common. I'm in these comment sections with these mothers, and like, there's so much guilt, they feel so much shame, so much guilt, like, that's just like, as a mom, like, that's
the whole energy of the song, like, people like I'm not criticizing anybody because I understand why, like, if I wasn't so closely approximated to your struggles, you know, like, I completely get it. But even like the tenor of the song, like, the whole point of the song in my mind was, this is a person that is like barely getting by and doesn't have a lot of self-confidence or resources in order to accomplish what she thinks the ideal mother could be. And so it's like, this is the best that I could do. Hey, the baby didn't die. So when she's playing the song, it doesn't go anywhere as far as like artistic whatever, because it's going right along in line with, I'm a regular person trying to do something extraordinary.
Yeah, but
so, like, the way that she's playing and what she's doing or whatever is, like, it goes exactly with what she was trying 100%. To communicate, what she felt like as a mom. So if she would have done all this artistic, like, amazing shit, like, it would have been like, yeah, you're like that because you're an incredible artist. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think the entire point of, and I'd have to hear more songs from this person, but, like, I think the entire point of the song is supposed to make, you're supposed to go, she's marginally talented, because that's what she's portraying herself to be as a mom. You see what I'm saying? So, like, that made sense to me. Like, I got that. It's kind of like what your discovery in Master of Puppets, where the initial solo is very beautiful. Very beautiful, and then it gets and then it goes with this crazy fast solo, and it was talking about like the progression of when you first get the drug and you feel a certain way, but then like it gets dark and then it just makes your life chaotic. Like, the music was communicating what the lyrics were communicating. It was the first time I like caught something like that. So to me, it's like, well, yeah, it couldn't have been like a virtuoso artistic. It had to be kind of bland because that's what she was communicating.
But that is motherhood. Like, in the general sense, that is what motherhood is. It's like the day in, day out, you know, you're wiping faces, you're putting meals on the table, because you're growing like a human being, you don't realize like how important all of the aspects of it are. And like our kids help us a lot too. And that's a message that I'm constantly having to even talk to them about, is how important everything that we do when we're taking care of other human beings is. And so she just kind of goes through the song like that. And then at the end of it, like, she keeps pacifying herself with the idea that, well, the baby didn't die. And like,
right.
There's so many times, like, as a mom, like, and I've heard this communicated with tons of mothers, is that when you're pregnant, you're afraid that you're going to have a miscarriage. And you're like, I just really don't want to have a miscarriage. This would be so horrible if I have a miscarriage. And then if perhaps you make it to the delivery date, then you're worried as you're delivering the baby that there's going to be some complication that's going to make it so the baby is not born. And then if perhaps you make it past that, then the first night there's like phlegm that they're like kind of still choking on for like a couple weeks after they've been born. And you're like, are they going to choke on that phlegm? Like, is there, one of the times the doctor was in the room and the baby started choking and she was talking and she kept glancing over and then she was like, and then she grabbed the baby and she started like getting really aggressive. And when I saw the doctor do that, I was like, oh my gosh, because the doctor didn't maintain a calm. That means the doctor thought there was a danger.
Agreed.
And that scared me when I saw the doctor do that. So, like so then there's always like the next thing. You're always worried that like now for the first X amount of time, you're worried that something's going to happen. So I think that her saying the baby didn't die though is like sometimes that's like you help yourself by saying, okay, well, the baby survived. Like, okay, they survived another night. They survived whatever. Like, if you switch them from nursing to formula, you're like, I hope that this is not bad formula. I hope that this is going to be safe and good for them. And then once you do that and then they survive, you're like, okay, good, they survived. I'm glad that they're good. Like, some of it can become like that because it's a human life and it's not an adult. It's like this tiny little person that can't take care of themselves, and you're like hoping that you do the right thing with them. I will say, like, I found a lot of her song relatable. Not that my life mirrors her, because I have a ton of help. You're there. I have all the kids. You know what I mean? Like, we have a lot of support. Like, I'm not in this situation, but I understand the struggle as a mother and how it can be. And at the end, she says, I thought it was...
Did she talk about breastfeeding? Yeah, she smiled at us nursing. You can't relate to that, Dan.
I don't remember anything about nursing.
Yeah, she called across, how old is your baby? And she smiled at us nursing.
Oh, I didn't catch the word nursing there.
Yeah, which nursing is also a difficult issue for moms. Like I get you, Dan. Like, I don't want to, obviously I'm not going to, disrespect the father's contribution, and I've spent time as a single dad myself. So obviously I'm not going to denigrate fathers, but it's still different for a mom. Because
what's different? What about it? What?
Child rearing, especially baby rearing, because her chemicals have to get straight. She just went through delivery. Just going through delivery, like, we don't go through that. Delivery is a harrowing experience. So to go through delivery, to have all those chemicals, to deal with postpartum, which she kind of alluded to a little bit, but didn't go like all the way. Mm-hmm. Like, we deal with postpartum to a degree, but not at the chemical and clinical level that women deal with. So all that happens to their bodies and their chemicals before birth, during birth, and after birth is something that we're always on the outside looking in. And then, of course, there's the nursing issue, which is women nursing in public. They're sort of like this societal sort of animus against women. I can't
believe that.
Well, it's so because shocking. We have such a sexualized...
That's what it is.
We're in such a sexualized context that men are almost resentful of women using their breasts for anything other than their sexual pleasure.
Exactly.
So there's that undertone that men will never relate to. There's just so many things that when I watch you, and then there's just this feeling that you got that I see that you're never doing it well enough, you're never doing it good enough. Women are so hard on themselves with their kids. I'm a lot more, I don't want anything bad to happen to the kids either, but if the kid falls off the bed or something like that, like, it's not going to wreck me for her. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where, and then there's just so many
when she said
struggle.
This,
I just could relate through you so much to the music and the song, because I was like, yeah, this is the normal, and like she's kind of stealing, but she's not stealing. She's just having a hard time multitasking, you know. And then,
I did this exact thing. I went to the store. There was toilet paper on the bottom shelf. I didn't see it till I got out, and I had already I had 2 of the kids with me, I think, 2 of the babies.
Yeah.
I put them both in the car, and then I was like, I always would go back in to pay for something like that. I justified it, but I didn't justify it by saying the baby didn't die. I justified it by saying Biden is making this ridiculous.
But another thing I think is that, like, motherhood does not get the... like, we don't have a cultural icon of the heroic mother. Like,
right.
you know,
yeah.
we're watching Hunger Games. You got Katniss Everdeen and all that, and like, she was pregnant, but then she lost the baby and all that. Like, there isn't. We don't have like a cultural. You know, I forgot who it says, but you can gauge a country by its heroes, and so like you can look at our feminine values. And the icons in our culture, whether they be celebrities or fictional characters, we don't have a you know, Christine, you have like the Divine Mother, you know, and so it's like you have these movements that say, well, women are more than baby making machines. Of course they are. So then the pendulum swings the other way, and it's like, it's fascinating because women are now in the modern world being rewarded for acting masculine. So like, Katniss Everdeen's out there like shooting down planes and shit and fucking doing all this like commando shit, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, or Kim Kardashian is an ultra entrepreneur, you know, and so like she gets celebrated for that. Of course, there's other things that Kim K gets celebrated for, but definitely not the fact that she's got a bunch of kids. Like her motherhood's kind of been looked upon as an accessory, and so like you have a lot of women now who don't want to be Katniss Everdeen or whoever, want to be moms, but because there's no cultural icon to celebrate that, they think they're doing that. What they're doing is insignificant. Number one,
and it's literally the most significant job there is. You're human beings.
Yeah, it was, like what got me was like you feel you're doing bad at something insignificant. And I'm like, damn, that's such a double whammy. Like, that's what I got from the song. It's like, I'm doing bad at something insignificant, which is why the music, in my view, was the way that it was. When in reality, when she's talking about ISIS and things like that and feeling helpless to fix the universe, and then she's like, well, at least the baby didn't die. Like, she's not recognizing, like, that's how you change the world. Like, you change the world through families. You change the world through raising a kid that won't chop somebody's head off. And, you know, depending on your anthropology, that's a major accomplishment in my view.
Sometimes,
you know,
like, because you're always speaking for injustice, and you're like, you know, shooting videos, you know, to protect this group of people or to speak out against that injustice and all this. And I don't have that same, like, drive to do that.
Delaney.
What?
I love being a birthing person. A uterus haver who can body feed. Yeah, that's where women are now. And if you say otherwise, you're going to be a, you know. Go ahead.
Shoot, do you remember what I was just saying?
We were talking about
I was telling you something.
like changing the world. You can change the world through your kids.
Oh yeah, because you shoot a bunch of videos and stuff like that, and like they're for me, like it's in my heart, I'd rather be holding my kids and reading them books or something than speaking out against the world's injustices. And I do think that it's important, obviously, to speak out against the world's injustices, but at the same time, like, you know, when you're a mom and you have the heart of a mother, like it is interesting because there's the one side in which there's a whole bunch of women that don't want to be a mom. They want to work outside because there's a certain level of like this that you get when you're working out there and you get a paycheck and all that. But that when you're a mother and you're changing diapers and you're cleaning bottles and you're cleaning dishes and you're doing all these things over and over, if you don't realize the value in that you're raising these human beings, then it becomes a really tiring job. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of the women that don't want to do that. But then they're going to shit talk you for doing it. It's like, wait a minute, I'm doing the thing that you don't want to do, and why don't you want to do it? Like, it is a very tiring job, especially if, you know, like you said, you're dealing with the hormones. And again, I am not in a situation that the majority of women are in because I have like a crew with me. You know what I mean? Like I'm not day in, day out taking care of all the babies and everybody. And you know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to make that clear. There are mothers that are day in, day out that they don't have a lot of help.
You're managing multiple businesses at the same time.
Right. Yeah. I just want to make it that I'm not like doing all kinds of.
Well, you are, and you're managing 2 businesses at the same time.
Well, you know what's another thing too is I was talking to my sister. And I said, I can't keep up with the friggin' laundry. And I said, and all I do, I don't even wash the clothes for all the big kids. They wash their own. And my sister started laughing and she was like, sorry. She's like, that's a husband, a wife, and 3 kids. Like that's a 5-family house. So you're doing laundry for, that's bigger than most American families. Most American families are 4 people. Yeah. Anyway, but like when she said, cause when she talked about the speeding thing and the cop pulling her over, there are times where I've been driving fast also because the baby was crying and I'm trying to get them back to feed them. And in the back of my head, I thought to myself, if I get pulled over, the cop's going to hear him crying and I'm going to tell him, look, I'm just trying to get back to get this kid feeding. And when she said, because he was hungry and I think I was speeding because I panic when I hear him cry. My God, what kind of mother am I? That part was really emotional because that is definitely like, this is I've birthed 4 children. This is my 4th birth child. And this is the first one that when he's crying, I don't feel all the panic and stress like I used to. I did for the first couple of months, but it's definitely like tapering off. But that's like a real feeling. And that's a really hard feeling when other people don't understand it. Like if the baby's crying, like literally in the pit of my stomach, I feel sick to my stomach and I feel like throwing up. I can't, like I feel stressed out and panicky because I want to help the baby make sure he's good and he's all set. But I've gotten to the point with this one, and that's with your help, is that to realize like the baby is crying because he's just trying to communicate. That's the only way he has. He can't talk to us. The only thing that he can do is cry. So he's hungry and he's trying to let you know, yo, I'm really hungry. But when he's crying and you're starting to feel stressed out, then you feel like a bad mom because he's crying so long and you know, why didn't I think of this sooner? How come I didn't like make the shopping trips shorter or whatever? Like there's just a lot of things that come into the mind of a mother, like, and for whatever reason, it doesn't matter how good you're doing. Like I honestly think that this is one of my things of like coming up with a curriculum is there's so much guilt that like I just went on that forum. There was a mother, she said and they'll come on and they will tell on themselves because they feel so bad about it. Like they want to feel better, you know? So this mother came on and her kid, when you have chubby babies, they drink their milk and their milk gets in their neck. And then if you don't wipe that neck, which is really impossible to wipe because they're always like this, like you have to like really stretch their neck and clean it and they're very unhappy about it. Well, this mother noticed that there was like some stuff collected in the crease and it was all red because it had been like that for like 2 days. And she's like, she's like, I don't know how this happened. And she was putting this post out there. And this mom came in and she was like, basically, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, who does this? Like, what kind of mother are you that you would let your kid stay in this situation? Like, who does this? Like, how hard is it to get a cloth and wipe the kid's neck? And why aren't you bathing the baby? Like, she just went off on her.
The internet makes it so much worse. Like, if you weren't, like, constituted to where you were, like, I would seriously work on discouraging you from it. But you're at a certain level of maturity. But like for a young mom in the early 20s, like those forums are so toxic and there's so much judgment. Yeah. And a lot of the judgment, I hate to say it, comes from other women.
That's what it is. It's other moms.
All these moms that are talking about like formula and their formula guilt, it's mostly other women making them feel like absolute garbage.
But
like I don't want to get into like a super controversial the major topic, but like I can understand being an 18, 19-year-old girl or a 16-year-old girl and getting pregnant and being like
terrified.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Just because like I said, we don't have the cultural icon of the Divine Mother. Mm-hmm. We've got the cultural icon of like the man who goes around and like is a very vital man and you know, but we don't have the cultural icon that is celebrated and worshipped as the Divine Mother. So that aspect of femininity is no longer lionized in our country. So you got this 16-year-old girl, all she hears about childbearing on the one side is it's going to ruin your life, you're 16 years old. And then on the other side It's, yeah, great. Have this child and enter into this sorority of nonstop judgment and failure. Like,
because
imagine that as a 16-year-old girl.
That's crazy.
Like, I understand
Yeah.
why that person
Yeah.
who's still a minor themselves would be completely panicked and say, I got to get out of this. I have no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I have no judgments for women relative to that topic. Because it just, society is constructed we've got, to me, we're in the most anti-woman version of society
it's a mess, yeah.
we've ever had.
It's a mess.
And now you have entire categories in which women are told, shut the fuck up, do not say anything, no matter how you feel. That's a fact. So like, that's one of the things where, like, I know I'm getting into dangerous territory, but I wish women would support each other more.
Well, and this is the thing,
and it's so
babe.
fractured right now. There's not a lot of support for women women.
That one woman posts that about the kid's neck. Everybody jumps on her saying, what the fuck is wrong? Like, so many, like, over 100 women jumped on this. So then everybody jumped on this one mom that was saying how horrible she was for doing that. Like, I think that her comment was terrible. But 150 women jumped on her for her comment instead of realizing the fact that she's jumping on this other mother for that means that's the type of mother she is with herself. So she's so hard on herself constantly that when somebody else has a little problem like that, she attacks her.
That's a good point.
So then 150 women went and attacked.
It's really a way of self-critique.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's so true.
And then 150 women jumped. It's just like, when can we ever support each other instead of saying, hey, look, like, you're probably doing this.
Well, if she's reaching out for help, that means she's an awesome mother.
I know, but that's what everybody was saying. Everybody jumped on that one woman that said it, and they were like, the fact that that's what I said. I said, look, mama, there's no shame in it. The only shame is leaving it that way. Just clean her up, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if she was the type of person that just left her baby like that, she wouldn't be on there after 3 days saying, 3 days ago I gave the baby a bath and all this panic about it. But she got a ton of support because she then turned and jumped on that woman too. So the one woman came in and she was like, what kind of fucking mother are you, blah, blah, blah. She was really horrible and toxic. But my thing is that mom needed help too. That mom needs support too. Like, the fact that she's at that point. Because then everybody in the comment section turned on that one mom, including the author of their post. She was like, she went after her too. So everybody did. And my thing is, we have to recognize that all of us are in a hard place. Like, why we went in there to protect that one mother from the criticism, not realizing that other lady is really far gone, that she would even come into a comment section and do that.
But again, that comes from your experience and your insight.
But all it is, we're all in the same place. We're all feeling bad.
We're very big on self-awareness and things like that. And it's impossible to not be self-aware in our household. And I'm glad that you're such a blessing to those women. But I hear Delaney saying, like, she just doesn't feel empowered as a woman. She's saying, why have kids? Like,
oh my gosh. Okay, I was going to say, that is the one part in which I disagree with her. Because when I look at she was saying, like, then I get back in the car and turn the radio and the heater on. I sat there with the baby. See, she turns on the car and the radio
talking
and the
about
heat.
Syria, climate change and ISIS.
She's using the stuff that's making it worse to keep her baby good. Right?
Well, the environment, right? Because people are talking about the environment,
climate change,
right?
Stuff like that. And
it
says she got back into the car.
Footprint. Yeah.
Exactly. So she's trying to take care of her baby, but while she's taking care of her baby, she's increasing the footprint. And I've noticed that with the more kids I get, the more footprint I make.
Yeah.
There's no avoiding that.
Yeah, yeah.
But to be honest with you, that is not, because she says, I feel so useless in this universe. I know I could be doing worse. But again, she's saying I could be doing worse than this, instead of saying, like, you are raising a human being. Like, the most valuable thing in the entire universe is human beings.
Yeah.
And we as women get this unbelievable privilege. Like, sometimes I think about it and it's almost like something from some friggin' alien show. Like, we in our bodies are going to carry human beings. We take part in that process.
Here's one thing about the patriarchy that I think is absolutely brilliant. I think this is probably the most brilliant move that the patriarchy ever did, which is to elevate the arenas where men are dominant as universal.
What did this?
Patriarchy did
Okay,
this.
go ahead.
And to denigrate the things that only women can do. So when a woman is empowered, the symbology of an empowered woman is not a woman in a dress with a child on her hip. Okay. It's a woman in a pantsuit with a briefcase.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm sorry, that's our world. I've been in that world. And yes, there are women who climb that ladder, but the sacrifices those women have to make, men do not make. Because I've been there.
Right.
Women at the top of those ladders generally don't have families. Men at the top of those ladders do have families. They get so like the icon of the empowered woman is a woman operating in a man's realm. And so we know that that's always going to be home field, and we'll always have the advantage there. That's why people talk about the wage gap, whatever. Whether or not you believe in the wage gap, I was in corporate America. Women in authority get treated differently than men in authority. It doesn't matter if it's like in the gutter, no disrespect, of like a distribution center, or if it's in the upper echelon of a Fortune 1000 company, which is what I worked for before we went off ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's fascinating. So like that's the craziest thing the patriarchy ever did, was to tell women that the way to be empowered is to act like us. And then what's happened is now the lines between femininity, now women aren't even allowed to say I'm a woman anymore. So now we've like completely encroached upon feminine identity, and the very thing that separates females from women at a biological, theological, philosophical level, the ability to be the carrier of life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And to be the shaper of the next generation. You know, like in our tradition, we've got guys like Augustine. Honestly, in the Western world, Jesus Christ, the Apostle Paul, literally third in line is Augustine as far as influence on the Western world. Augustine, I mean, look, the Protestant Reformation was called Augustine's Doctrine of the Church versus Augustine's Doctrine of Salvation. And all of us know about Augustine that it was his mother, Monica, who prayed him into Christianity.
Right.
He had a good mother.
And all that.
The same thing with the early revivalists in America, the Wesley boys, you know, John Wesley and all those guys. It was their mother. And so these women are memorialized in Christian history, not for being barefoot and pregnant, but for being active in the development and the shaping of the minds of the sons. And you even see this in the Bible where Paul talks about, you know, your mother Lois and all this, who taught you these things. And even in Proverbs, where it says, at the beginning of the book, it says, my son, listen to the instruction of your father and the wisdom of your mother.
Right.
And Proverbs actually ends with a mom giving wisdom to her son, the king. So there's this idea that no, women are not baby factories, but they're the givers. She's called Eve. She's the mother of all the living.
Yeah.
And
I mean, for God's sake, people give more respect to Mother Earth.
Even when I was in New York City, the gangs, the Latin Kings, like all of their laws, because these gangs, they have bylaws, all their laws surrounded the Latin woman and protecting the Latin woman, and that one Latin woman was worth 100 Latin kings. Like, it's on there. And it's true. Like, now I will say there's a lot of domestic violence in that community. I'm not gonna lie.
That's what I was gonna.
But if you're an outsider in that community, you put a hand on a Latin woman, like, it's over for you. Whether she's in the gang or not, like, it's over for you. And everybody knew that. Like, I knew killers that knew that and wouldn't do that shit. Didn't want that kind of energy. So, like,
that's pretty cool.
But what the patriarchy has done now is, like, that's completely denigrated. And I know what Dan's going to say. Dan's going to say, no, the patriarchy didn't do that. The feminists did that. It's like, yeah, but the patriarchy decides what movements they're going to celebrate and what movements they're going to crush.
Right.
And that movement was because now look at it. You've got women who they cannot demand any commitment for sex because that's gone. Now they can't even demand their own spaces in the fucking bathroom. Anna Kasparian comes out and says she's a woman. It's like they have absolutely no support. So this woman is saying at least the baby didn't die. That's like winning a lottery ticket or like winning $60 million and being like, at least I paid the rent. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're literally, that's how you change the world, is that you teach that child to take care of the planet a little bit better than you. You teach that child to love foreigners. And so maybe the way that you vote influenced how ISIS came about. ISIS came about because we went into Iraq under false pretenses, destabilized that region, and then the vacuum got filled as my high school sociology teacher told us about ISIS in fucking 1996.
Unbelievable.
He said, we're never going to go and depose Saddam Hussein, because if you do, there's going to be a giant... Look at all these other countries. They would just...
it's so obvious.
And, like, everybody... So my point is, like, yeah, you can address those issues, mama, by teaching your kid.
And that's what I was going to say. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
When she said... Where was at the end? When she was saying like that she didn't even know if she should have had. I wonder if I should have had a gigantic mess, because she talks about getting into the car, turned on the radio, the heater on, and sat there with the baby in the back, and they were talking about Syria, climate change, and ISIS, and the candidates' positions on Iraq. I feel so useless in this universe.
Yeah.
I know I could be doing worse. And that's kind of like the you'll try to, well, I could be doing worse, but that doesn't really help. It doesn't, but saying I could be doing worse doesn't make you realize I am doing the most important work. And then she says, I'm trying hard to stay at peace inside. I know it's hard to be a parent, but this mess is so gigantic. I wonder if I should have had a child. And like I said, that was the part that I all of it I could throw in with her. That's the one part that I actually don't feel that way, because when I look at my kids, I have so much hope for what they're going to be and what they're going to do in the future. Like, we've got, I've got one of my kids that anytime we drive by a homeless person, she wants us to stop so she can give them something, whether it's gum from her pocket, pizza from her pizza box, or money from her pocket, whatever she has, she wants to give stuff to the homeless person. I have another one that for years has been donating to St. Jude, not by anything that we have said that inspired him to do that. He saw the stuff for himself. He felt moved and motivated to do something about it, and he did. I've got another one that's donating for something else. I've got another one that's got a heart as big as anything, and she recognizes if somebody's hurting and she's there to help them, whatever. Like, all of my kids, they all have something special and something amazing, and I know that the care and concern that my kids are going to give and they're going to bring to this world is going to make this world a better place. Yeah, are they always going to make positive choices? No.
The reason you don't feel that way, like, you've got theological grounding for that. You're a post-millennialist.
Yep.
Right? So your view of the future is that the future is going to get progressively better.
Right.
Right? So you're going to say, well, shit, the solution to all these problems in the world is to have more kids. Right? Because you already have that underpinning. And you have Eve and Mary and Perpetua and Monica. You have images of the divine feminine in a mothering role that the church, I mean the church has almost over exalted the divine feminine in the Blessed Mother, right? Where now you're praying to her and all this. Like, you absolutely have a model of the divine feminine that is celebrated.
Yeah, it's there if it's there for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, even at a subliminal level, it's there. Right? The secular women don't have that.
Oh my gosh, not even that.
They don't have, that's what I'm saying. There are no icons of the divine feminine in a secularist context. They've got Kim Kardashian and they've got Hillary Clinton, right? Like, literally, that's the spectrum.
And Rihanna, she went up there showing her belly.
Yeah, but, and then you saw, but most pregnant women are not like Rihanna. Most pregnant women are not going to shake their ass in front of 100,000 people and get celebrated for it. Rihanna actually represents the antithesis of the divine feminine, to be honest with you, because she does not carry herself like a pregnant woman carries herself. That's not how pregnant women carry. It's just like I said about like these trans protesters who beating shit out of this woman and yelling and screaming with all that bass in their voice. Like, that's not how normal everyday women on the ground operate. They just don't. They don't operate that way. So like, you are like, yeah, that's the, because you have all of this.
Wait, I'm like, yeah, that's the what?
You have this mind and the template,
and that's why I'm saying no. I have
to some degree, you have me that'll can kind of shape that.
100%, 100%.
Okay, but what if all you had was Kim Kardashian in one end and
Rihanna
fucking,
on the other? My God.
What's her face? Hillary Clinton on the other end, and those were the two massive icons that you have. Like, what would,
yeah, that's true. That's true. There's nothing.
That's what I'm saying. There's no divine feminine in secularism.
Oh my God, that's such a crazy idea.
So you get somebody who, obviously, in my view, obviously, you got Delaney, 16, 17-year-old girl who's like dialed in on what's going on in the world, dialed in on what's happening in the country. I'm like, if anybody should have a child, it should be her. Out of that generation, it should be her. Like, have 15 kids, Delaney. But there's not a lot of hope, and she doesn't understand how incredible she is and how incredible of a mother she would be.
But do it with somebody that you like. You can respect that person and build with that person.
Well, yeah, you gotta Delaney, find a man that's going to be an actual man, not this modern shit.
Yeah.
Like, find a dude like who understands his role. Provide, protect. That's his role. That's your role. Be a house band. Be a band around the house. And then, you know, trust me, the girls will figure it out. She'll make the place a habitable environment because we're savages. Well, you did. Like, you made the place a habitable environment for life to, you know, I mean, good night. We had organisms and shit in this place. I'm going to talk about it. But anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at with the song. Like, I completely understood the song. I understood everybody's reaction to it. But this song to me is a
I bet we went long on this one.
9.5. I'll give it a 9.5. It's a very, very interesting song. There's so many things to say.
Yeah. I honestly could talk like a lot longer on this, and you know, I am quite sure that at some point in my future when I'm doing, you know, what I have plans for, this song I'm sure will get used.
Good. The Divine Feminine, that's a nice occultist term. I like it, and I think you're not the same as you guys were a few years ago. Well, I hope I'm not the same as I was a few years ago.
Yeah, really.
If you're not growing, you're dying. Would you give it?
I better be different than I was 5 years ago. 9.6.
All right. Go hang out at a gas station roughly at 5 a.m. and tag a high-vis vest. You got yourself a man. Not a man, a man. We shall return, dear listener. I didn't really understand that joke.
I didn't either, but it was funny to read. Funny sounding. Not a man, a man. A vest? You got yourself a man. Not a man, a man.
All right, guys. We shall return. There's more music on the way. I'm Ben.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/BenandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch. Oh, the door's open.
Yes, dear
Buy our
listener.
merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Shout out to the big homie Archetto, who just concluded his March Madness thingamajiggy. I think they raised $180, which meant that they raised, what's 180 times 2?
Well, 150 would be 300.
That's 300. They raised almost $400. And we also had a villager who was in trouble relative to their rent situation, and I'm pretty sure we got that cleared 100% between all you beautiful people that participated in March Madness, our patrons, and a mystery villager who heard about the situation as well. So thank you guys so much. Shout out to Brombit for winning the whole deal. Thank you guys so much for participating in the March Madness and helping out a villager. We really appreciate it. You know, when we say we love our community, from time to time we try to, we demonstrate that in tangible ways. and so it's really, really cool. But a big moment should go to Archero.
For sure, to Archero.
To Archero for being that type of person. Thank you very much, bro. I appreciate you. And, God's proud of you. Okay. We got another song. Later Luminous Night.
All right. This is the next one.
Diablo Swing Orchestra of Calibre.
Yes.
So that's that's interesting.
Here, you can read this as well.
Employing a mix of metal, classical, opera, swing jazz, electronica, mariachi, music, and more, Sweden's Diablo Swing Orchestra defies genre categorization, though many just label them avant-garde metal and call it a day. Their guitarist has described their sounds as riot opera. The song of Calibre won our free-for-all poll and was selected by Brombit again!
Brombit, looks like
Brombit in the house.
You got the hookup. All right, let's check it out. Let's see what this song is.
Controller of Minds in the house. Oh my goodness, we got all the people here. All we need is negative vibes. It's a wrap. All right, here we go. We got a Swedish.
There's Brombit. It is Brombit. You are the one that's always pointing out my spelling mistakes. Listen.
Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, I need Archero. I need you to get in touch with Brombit and give her the secret email so she can message me when she sees mistakes. Because you always put it in the comment section and I don't always see it. I'd rather just see them straight up. So Archero, get with Archero and he'll give you the secret email.
Oh boy.
That's only given to people that buy streams, but you'll have it.
All right, you beautiful
for
people.
Your great eye.
Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Here we go. Of Calibre is the song.
Do it.
Let's do that shit. That's terrifying. Get me a lyrics part. was a very, very. I thought to myself, this is gonna be either this is either gonna be a really trash song or a song I'm gonna say Riot Opera.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Their guitarist has described their sound as Riot Opera.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah,
the riff, it's interesting. Like the riffage was not very complex. They were dun 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 dun. But they definitely like had a sideshow, almost circusy type feel.
It absolutely did.
It definitely was like a spectacle.
Yeah.
And this is a band like...
That's a good word for it.
This is a band I'd like to see live just because I think it would be crazy. Like, do they do this in all their songs? I mean, I'm assuming they would.
Right.
Shout out to Elle. She's going to bed.
I'm assuming... Bye. I'm assuming that if you saw them live, that... she probably does a lot of, like, because her voice is theatrical, so you would assume that her movements would be, maybe the set would be as well.
Yeah, this was really...
I'm going to see if they even have live videos available. Obviously, we're not going to watch them. I'm just curious.
Yeah, this is, it's definitely interesting. Okay, what do you think the lyrics were about? They measure him by his bloodshot eyes. They measure him by his thick disguise. Those nights of doubt and loneliness inside the thoughts never rest.
They do have a live video.
Just click on it and put it on mute just so I could see what they look like.
Okay, good. I was hoping that we could do that.
Who is this band? Where's this band from?
I said obviously we're not going to, but...
They're a Russian band? Yeah, there's a guy with his horn. Where are they from?
Not what I pictured them to look like.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. They were live in Moscow.
It's there on stage.
Yeah, I just have pictured her not in this outfit.
Yeah, she's definitely...
I pictured her basically, like what my character wears on Fortnite?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to see something
Cradle
like
of
that.
Filth.
I think that's a cool looking striped
They're
skirt.
They're a Swedish band. Okay, they were playing in Moscow. This must have been before all the jihad happened. What year is that?
Oh, hold on.
That must have been...
2015.
Yeah. Before all the jihad.
madness.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought it was somebody that was... At first, I thought it was somebody that just, like an alcoholic. They measure him by his bloodshot eyes.
It looks to me, this is a guy. I think he's a musician. He has a dream of being a musician. He's an artist, and he's being judged because he's not like conforming to like what a dude is supposed to do in normal society. So it looks like it might be biographical. They measure him by his bloodshot eyes. They measure him by his thick disguise. Those nights of doubt and loneliness inside the thoughts never rest. The jest, the pomp, and the circumstance won't fill the void nor soothe his sense. He wears his secret like a cope. Truth makes it harder to cope. By the most enlightened manner, I'll have your mind in the grip of my hand. You despise what's on your platter. Wish for a change. Dreams will have bound you. Make peace with all you ever knew. Make peace with all you ever do. Make peace with it all. I won't let you fall. So it looks to me like... It's about like stop with your dreams and just make peace with your bland life.
Oh. Well, I did seem to think that dreams were not necessarily a positive thing.
Well, they are. I think they are a positive thing.
Wish for a change. Dreams will have you bound. In the song.
Yeah.
In the universe of the song, I meant.
No, I do. I think the person saying that to him is being portrayed as a bad guy. I think is the point. Like he's hearing these people that are telling him that you should be satisfied with your, because look, it says right there like you despise what's on your platter.
Yeah.
Wish for a change. Dream will have bound you. So like what they're saying to him is like just be happy with what, like you said, like just be happy with what you have and settle for what you have. Stop dreaming. That's gonna like screw you up. Like stop with the alcohol. Yeah, get up and cut your hair and take a shower and go out there and wear a suit and go to work. Like be a 9 to 5er is what it looks like to me.
Oh.
Nail down hope and with fingers crossed, pick up the dreams that were nearly lost. Raise for home and trusting arms, the antic has forsaken the farce. When they shake him awake again, see?
Yeah.
So like pick up the dreams that were nearly lost. So like he's still fighting to hold on to his dream. Right?
Yeah.
And then the next line is they shake him awake. Well, if you wake up, you're no longer dreaming.
Yeah.
Torn from the calm by a judging hand. The daylight's hard when the mind is not free. The circle starts over again. Ooh. By the most enlightened matter, I have your mind in the grip of my hand. All he's done is try to bury, fleeing so far from the judge and the jury.
Yeah.
So it just looks like this person is like fighting to maintain their dream, and there are forces that are telling him to not have that dream because that doesn't work in the real world. Wake up, take a shower, cut your hair, and go to work. Basically, is the idea. I think
maybe he's talking about an artist and how people view an artist.
Yeah, that's what I.
Oh, you said the artist?
Yeah, that's what.
Oh my gosh, I still had the alcoholic or somebody that just like that is kind of beaten down.
Well, I mean, he's got
going anywhere necessarily.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Is like he's an. I'm assuming he's an artist, a musician. Probably.
Yeah.
That's why I said like it's probably autobiographic. It's probably what people were telling people in this band, which everybody who's doing something.
I missed that. I agree.
No, it's all good. Everybody's doing something. They always tell you like go out and get a real job, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Like when we were at the DMV and the person said that he wanted to be a YouTuber, and what did their aunt say? Like she was standing like right behind you or something like that.
Yeah, she was laughing and mocking the situation. She was actually I'm pretty sure it was Johan that she had said to, because Johan was saying that I was talking to him, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he had said he wanted to be a YouTuber. I'm pretty sure it was Johan. And then the lady started laughing because she thought it was so outrageous. Well, she didn't know. Well, at that point, we weren't even saying anything about our YouTube channel publicly. Yeah. So he was kind of like in one of these situations. Was it him or was it the woman's daughter? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point was she thought it was laughable that somebody could even make money off a YouTube channel. Impossible even is what it looked like.
Yeah. And like,
but he was sitting beside us, and we obviously at that point had a successful a successful YouTube channel in so much that you were able to quit your job, and we just did this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but yeah, she didn't think that was.
But
that's the idea. People do stuff in the arts that sometimes gets looked at as
like
you can't make a living off that.
It's like our kids, like we've got one child that's like writing full-length books, and once we get a certain thing, it's like I'm going full bore into getting her an agent, getting her a publisher and all that.
I think you should tell her that
being successful in YouTube is possible. Like we also know people from Maine. Like it's crazy. Like me and you and Jess and Drewby are like literally the only people in the entire state that have a channel over 100,000 subs. So Maine is not a very big state, but that's like millions of people. We're like at the 0.00000. Like
that's crazy.
Somebody because I posted about Jess, somebody posted, they were like, "Yo, I didn't even know you guys were from Maine." So like they were watching the channel, but they didn't know where they were from.
You have a lot to say?
Well, you know I'm working on solos, so that's something that they did a really, really good job.
Functioned as a muse of soul.
Yeah, they did a really well. I'm gonna be on that thing immediately. Okay, okay. This is the most metal song we've got, so that's good. What did you think? What did you think?
Well, so the lyric video, the video itself was particularly violent, it seemed to me, from what I saw, and so I didn't really watch much of the video. I'm not wanting to see much violence at this point in my life. Anyway, so when he says the video there, I did want to watch it because there was like a lot of like fascinating pictures. Like there was one with the seemingly king-looking guy that was like stabbing a snake, and there was like some line on his face or something. I don't know, maybe it was a tear. I can't remember now. But some of the stuff kind of sounded like a Jesus, and then other of it sounded like it could have been like a male version of Elizabeth Bathory, with the bathe in violence stuff. But I am curious to kind of break down the lyrics and see what you kind of got from it.
Well, it looks
I love
like
the sound of the song. It took a number of transitions.
It looks like he is talking about, it looks, and some of the scenes were from, scenes that you would see depicted relative to the Inquisition and the Crusades, things of that nature. Although
the style or what was happening, you mean?
The tortures and the killings. Although I will say, because we had a discussion on this in Middle America, because people were like, religion has killed millions and millions of people. I was like, really? Show us this. It's like 5,000 people were killed during the Inquisition.
Really?
Which is horrible. But it's not the millions and millions that people...
Okay, literally, this is the first time I heard the number that I remember hearing the number.
It's not the
I did think
millions
of the number was a lot bigger than that.
It's not the millions and millions. Yeah.
So wait, then why... Well, that's not right.
It's
5,000 people in that giant thing.
5,000 people is
a lot of people, but we've killed a lot more babies and we don't care.
Oh yeah, I mean they're not consistent with themselves, but my point is like there's definitely sort of like
5,000. That's
religion is responsible for all this violence, blah blah blah. God is ruthless. Look at what God did to people in the Old Testament, blah blah blah. So like that's the idea, and he's talking about omnipotent malevolence. From his throne. So obviously, omnipotent malevolence atop his throne. So they were so that's a modern secularist criticism of God. Now, some of it to me is valid if you think about how bloodthirst, for example, in 2016, one of the things that really pushed me away from the Republican Party was when, what's his face, Ted Cruz was in front of all them Christians, and he's like, "We're gonna make sand glow."
Oh God, yeah.
When he was talking about the Muslim world,
yeah,
and all those people started, and Ted Cruz was the evangelical candidate, like. He was the candidate that the evangelicals loved. And here he is talking about, and he talked about carpet bombing, which is actually a war crime, like an actual war crime. And again, it was the evangelicals that were cheering for him. And so, like, the time...
I remember.
So I've got Bernie Sanders on one side saying, we can't have people dying over preventable issues because of Medicare. And then I've got the evangelical on the other hand saying we're going to carpet bomb the Middle East. And we're going after the guy who's saying we should give health care to everybody and cheering for the guy who's saying that he wants to carpet bomb the Middle East. Mm-hmm. So you cannot have things like that in your contemporary life and then think about the Crusades, which I understand, like there was some instigation happening, I understand, relative to the Crusades. But you can't have those things in your history and then have this just complete disregard for human life in the modern era and expect secularists to look at your religion and look at as nonviolent and look at your God as a father. If you're the representative of Christianity and you were cheering, like you're giving this full-throated
100%.
cheering to massacring people who cannot harm you.
Yeah.
Like, literally, nobody from Afghanistan can harm you. Like, you can't expect a secularist to say, well, this is interesting. The Christian bloc is angry at the idea that immigrants could come into their country, and the Christian bloc is angry at the idea that you could give some of their hard-earned money to the poor, but they're cheering for the destruction of other human beings who they claim is in the image of their God. You cannot do things like that. And
the main figure of our religion is Jesus, and he was a foreigner. Like he was not even. He went all around, like he didn't even have a place to lay his head. And
right.
If he would have come here, all these Americans would have shipped him out and built a wall to keep him out.
Well,
it's crazy.
They would have crucified him and then told him that he should have been following orders. Remember, it was the right wing who crucified Jesus. It was the right wing who crucified. It wasn't the liberals. It wasn't the gays. It wasn't the trans people who crucified Jesus. Mm-hmm. It was the religious right who crucified Jesus. So,
right.
Like I get it. Things are not that simple. Like, I understand. And then the other side of it is like the main issue I have with modern secularists when we have these discussions is that secularists don't turn that critique on themselves. Mm-hmm. It's like secularists don't understand what motivated communist Russia. Literally, it's called forced secularization. It's literally called, Like, I've got a document right now, is it Harvard or Yale or something, for secularization, why an atheist monopoly failed. Okay? So, like, those arguments about your religion is so violent would resonate with me a ton if secularists understood that when they had a crack at it, literally hundreds of millions of people died.
Yeah.
World War II and then the communist revolution that happened after it were not based on religion. Those were wars of conquest relative to territory and ideology, especially when you start talking about communism, where de-religifying the area was part and parcel. It's why their form of communism was successful, according to Emilian Yarlovsky. And when I mention Emilian Yarlovsky, most secularists I know have no idea who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And so when I say, yeah, absolutely, it was their secular atheism that drove them to kill all those people, they go, no, secular atheism. I'm like, no, like literally.
It says it explicitly.
He literally said that.
Exactly.
Yarlovsky himself said it was a spirit of militant atheism. He didn't even call it secularism. He said it was a spirit. It was buttressed by the spirit of militant atheism that made it so that their brand of communism was successful while others failed. I mean, that's just a fact of history. And so
the man said it himself.
When modern when modern people like make the argument about the violence in Christianity and don't recognize that literally all the violence in Christianity was triplicated by 1,000-fold by secular violence just in World War II and the Communist Revolution alone, by itself. Like, if you don't recognize that, then I say, okay, you're not arguing consistently. Mm-hmm. Because if you do,
I see what you're saying.
If you do recognize that, then you have to say, well, the problem isn't religion or secularism. The problem is human nature. Yeah. But you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because then you would then have to consider religious worldview as some sort of viable worldview. So if you can say religion creates violence and then you can keep a blind eye to secularism creating violence, then you can be fine in your unbelief. But if you admit that secularism created way more bodies than religion did, then now you have a different situation. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the French Revolution, as Mr. Hayes says. French secularism waged a campaign of terror against Christians and directly influenced the secularism of Marx and co. That's correct. But religious folks, for the most part, are very gullible to authoritarian thought and will twist themselves on behalf of Trump or Netanyahu. Well, I don't think that it's gullibility, controller. I think that those people understand that those individuals like Trump. I noticed that you mentioned all right-wing folks as if Obama was not an authoritarian. Obama was more of an authoritarian than Trump was, and Biden is also an authoritarian. See, this is the problem.
Yeah.
Like, it's this one-sided, only religious people.
Yep.
Because if he mentions Obama, he can't blame religious people for that. Mm-hmm. And if he mentions Biden, he can't blame religious people for that. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm talking about. Like, can we be consistent? I'm completely secure in my worldview. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem in saying that there have been times when Christians have been against authoritarianism. What I will say is the secular worldview has no philosophical way of combating authoritarianism in and of itself, whereas a Christian worldview does. Authoritarianism is bad because you and I are image bearers of God, and we're only supposed to report to God. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have a philosophical reason for why authoritarianism is explicitly bad. If you're a pure secularist, you don't have any, which is why when secularists get power, they almost always become authoritarian. That's what happened. That's just a fact. And it wasn't religious people that was controlling speech for the last 6 years in America.
Facts, right.
Religious people weren't doing that, controller. It was secular people that were controlling speech. Mm-hmm. And hiding the truth. Mm-hmm. That wasn't us. But see, this is a problem. Like, if you want to, and I don't even care about defending religion. My issue is we're never going to get past authoritarianism if we don't understand what the root of authoritarianism is. Okay. You can't just talk about Netanyahu and dude from Turkey and Bush and all these right wingers and say, oh yeah, they're authoritarians, and not mention Joe Biden, who still has kids in cages, not mention Obama, who built the cages, not mention Obama, who went in the Verizon scandal. There's a reason Edward Snowden had to flee the country, right? Edward Snowden fled the country during the Obama administration. But you notice that when you listed out the authoritarian leaders, you went all the way to fucking Turkey. You didn't mention Obama.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Edward Snowden fled during the Obama administration. Julian Assange fled during the Obama administration.
But
okay.
this exercise
is what I'm
is
talking
just
about.
to show that this is normal for humans to have that response and to only see one side of it. We have to recognize that we're all prone to that, and so we got to broaden our minds and look at the thing more fully to get a more balanced picture.
Correct.
If you're only naming one side, then that's a problem. Then you got a hole in your game.
You're misdiagnosing the issue,
right? And then that's not going to get us to where we're going.
You're trying to say that religious people are more adept to authoritarianism, while completely ignoring the authoritarian figures on the left who were voted in by secularists. But if you mention those people, then you're going to have to say that authoritarianism and religion are not the same thing, because how do you explain the secularists who voted in the authoritarians on the other side? That's what I'm saying. And if you want to talk about Trump authoritarianism versus Obama authoritarianism, both foreign and domestic, it's Obama by a mile. Obama was way more authoritarian than Trump. Obama said that he was not going to allow Bernie Sanders to become the president. He didn't even have a fucking political office, and he said that.
Oh my gosh.
So my problem is, if you try to cordon off authoritarianism only to religious people, then we're doomed to repeat all the mistakes of the previous century and what's happening right now.
Exactly.
I have no interest in defending religious people.
Right.
I have interest in creating a better future. And we're not going to get a better future until we realize what's at the root of the problem. Right. It's the same thing with Brother Minister Farrakhan. I love the homie. I'll always revere him. But his fundamental issue is that there's something particularly uniquely wrong with white people, like ontologically wrong with white people. And my thing is, well, no, because our own people sold us to those white people. Mm-hmm. But if you only focus on white people, you can make them the problem instead of saying we have a human nature problem.
Yeah, because it's
not white people. It's human nature and power. You can do that for
everything. Like any group that feels oppressed or feels like that they've been hurt by another group can easily say that those people are doing that.
Yeah, you mentioned. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a controller. I'm not here to defend Christians or Christianity. You're trying to make it sound like religious people are more inclined to authoritarianism and secular people are not, which is why you selectively chose which leaders you're talking about, and you ignored the fact that it was worldly secularists who brought in the communist revolution. It was secularists who brought in the French Revolution, who killed a bunch of innocent people. It was secularists who killed us all in World War II. It was definitely secularists who try to impose their religion/philosophy on an entire continent. If you don't deal with that, then we're doomed to repeat it again. We have a human nature problem.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Exactly.
It's not a religion problem. It's not a philosophy problem. It is us. It is human beings. And when you combine that with power, and honestly, controller, you know where I'm going to go. You are completely authoritarian relative to babies. You believe that babies, even though they're alive and they're human, don't have the inherent right to live. So what does that make you? So look, I would just put it out there. You know, you're not for equal rights for all human beings. Like, I'm not saying this is an insult. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
You believe they're human beings because you're in the scientific age, but you don't believe that they even have the basic right to living. So you have a stratified understanding of who even gets to live versus who doesn't. And please don't bring up 1%, 2% edge cases. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this person's an inconvenience. They don't have a right to live. I'm going to kill them. You believe that that's in play. So let's just get away from trying to pin it on white people or religious people or secularists and just say human beings have a real problem. And why is it that every time you combine power with a group of humanity, 100 times out of 100, it leads to corruption.
Right.
Why is that?
Right.
Is it the money that's corrupting us? Is it the power that's corrupting us?
Is it the religion that's corrupting us?
Or does the money and the power expose who we really are without the normal constraints that everybody has?
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue. Mm-hmm. And I think we're not going to get anywhere with trying to get to where we're all trying to get to without understanding that and without self-critique. Because it's easy to point to other people and say, oh, these guys are gullible to authoritarianism, all the while celebrating NATO. 2 minutes ago, this dude was celebrating NATO.
Okay.
And then saying that we're gullible to it's weird.
Yeah.
But
I think that like that happens in all cases. Like for instance, you'll have, women will be angry at men because they feel like men are always the problem, or in this situation it's like, oh, it's that crew. Everybody's when it's a group that's not you, they're the problem. Instead of realizing all of us have it.
It's a conservative. Okay, this is just his bias. It's a conservative bias that's really, it was conservatives that fomented the communist revolution. It was conservative that fomented the Marxist revolutions. This is what I'm talking about. Like they have to do this because you cannot just admit that we have a human nature problem.
Any party.
Mao was a Republican. Okay. But like, this is what I'm saying. Like, people obviously have a bias against religious people, and what I just think it's lazy.
Christian, whatever. They say that right. Money doesn't bring out the ugly in people. The ugly in people is already there. When people love money, that's when you really see the ugly in people, because they'll use their money. They'll use people to get their money instead of using their money to help people. And that is really ugly. When you see a person that cares more about money than they do about people, like, and not just people that are in their circle. Like, some people are like ride or die for their people, but fuck the rest of the world. Like, if you have that mindset, like, that is going to have a negative effect on the world.
Yeah. All those people that were status were conservative. Yeah, Emilian Yarlovsky was not conservative, my guy.
Yeah, my thing is, why is the conversation even going on? We obviously saw your bias that you only pointed out the stuff on one side.
He wants to locate all the authoritarianism on the right.
And you have to ask yourself why you're doing that.
Because that's the play. Honestly, for people on the left to get power. It's like, you don't want to go with those people. They're authoritarian. It's what they did with Trump. They called Trump a Nazi for 4 or 5 years. He wasn't a Nazi. And then they sent $140 billion to actual real Nazis. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these people at the upper levels don't believe what they're saying. I'm talking about regular people on the ground. I'm sure there were people on the ground who truly believed that Trump was a fascist and a Nazi and all that. They really, really believe that. But the people at the top, they don't believe that. Mm-hmm. All those people were working with Trump. All of a sudden now he turned into a fascist Nazi. Okay. And then you add actual fascist Nazis that they just gave $150 billion to. So like
come on.
The people at the top don't believe what they're saying, but the people at the bottom end up believing it because
why?
Because we have inherent biases against certain groups of people. That has to be it. So if you're black and you hear Louis Farrakhan say that there's something like inherently ontologically wrong with white people, you're gonna go,
yeah, you got that.
I knew it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then like, and if you had a bad experience with religion, or you don't like what God says in the Bible, and somebody says to you, oh yeah, all religious people are particularly gullible to authoritarianism, then it's like, yeah, and then you don't have to look at yourself. It's the same thing that happens. LGBT people are ruining our kids. It's not that you're a bad parent. It's not that you're not paying attention to your kids. It's not that you're inculcating. It's that you're failing at inculcating Christian values into your child. Nope. It's the gays. They're the ones that we always point at other people, so we don't have to point at ourselves. That's why I said, like, I'm secure in my worldview. I don't have a problem with saying there's been a bunch of Christians that have done a bunch of horrible shit in the name of Christ and have been authoritarian and all this shit.
Matter of fact, it actually helps us to say that because of our belief system. So we say we've all done bad things. We've all sinned. So yeah, when that's happening and we're doing that, like, it's evidence that we suck as people and we really do need God's help.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people think that in Christianity, what you're talking about is be a good person. Then when you die, God will weigh your good deeds versus your bad deeds, and then you'll be in. You know,
a lot of people think that.
That's not the play. The play is you're so fucked up and horrible. The play is all of us individually are the reason the world is so horrible. If you want to look at how horrible the world is, don't look at Obama. This is a Christian idea. Don't look at Obama. Don't look at Bush. Don't look at any of those people. Look at yourself. You are the problem. Change yourself, and then inshallah, you can go and influence other people for the good. That's the message. So, but a lot of people, including...
Well, not change yourself. You have to, but God is also...
Well, God says circumcise your hearts. I mean, change yourself at the experiential level. You can change yourself by repenting and asking God to help you, whatever. But you're right. Like, we don't have the power to change ourselves. But all it's really asking for is have the true, genuine intentionality to change. Be a little bit better than you were yesterday. That's the call.
Yeah, and I think it's the acknowledgement that there's a problem and that you need help with it. And so then you're asking, Jesus, help me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have the... Am I going to change the world by myself? No.
Right.
You know? So, go ahead.
No, I agree with that. And like, that's the message. The message is you're the problem. And any group of people that keep saying that other people are the problem, like, you could know inherently there's that group is not going to do any lasting change.
Right.
Because here's the thing. If other people are the issue, how do you solve...
an entire group of victims.
Well, how do you solve that problem?
Yeah.
And that can get very ugly. So, like, for example, in Germany, it's like these Jewish people, they're the reason everything is bad.
Yeah.
And then in communism, it's these rich people. They're the reason everything is bad. And then in evangelical, it's these gay people. They're the reason everything is bad. And the gay people, it's these religious people. They're the reason everything is bad.
Right.
And like, the only common denominator is human beings.
All of them are involving humans.
That's it.
Right.
Human beings and human nature. That's the problem. So if you tell me, Christians did this, I'm like, yeah, I understand. Yeah. Are they human? Yeah, they're human. Okay, they're going to do evil shit when they get power then. Like, so that's kind of how I look at it. But at the same time, you cannot, if a person hasn't done a lot of thinking about history and looked at the patterns of history, and they just looked at the narrative that they hear about Christianity and people on the right and conservatives, then I can't blame a person for having this perspective. Like, I get it, I understand it, and if you're watching a bunch of Fox News and you go, is this really how these people think? I understand why a person would react that way.
Yeah, boy, isn't that interesting? If everybody just kind of came to that realization that they're a part of the problem, and we all have some...
What politician has ever run on that? The closest we have is Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. But like, when has anybody ever looked in the camera and said, America, we got issues with taxes, blah, 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 and you are the problem?
Would you say that
who's going to vote for that guy or that young lady?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Would you say that a principle is true when it can be applied in all different categories? So, for instance, you have what human beings do when they get power, and you have that with a religious group. Here you have the Christians; they killed all those people. Then you have the secularists and way more people that got killed with that ideology.
Yeah.
And then you have like my 3-year-old, and if I like let him off the hook too many times when he's like with the other kids, like he starts walking around like he's like some kind of boss, like he can just do anything he wants and treat everybody any way he wants. Like, so you see it like, and that's a 3-year-old with teenagers, or the Christians with the, like, everywhere you look, it doesn't matter. It applies that if you give a human being ultimate power, it's going to get corrupted if they don't have... What would you say? I think that, and then maybe this is where that verse that talks about like in a group of many counselors, there's wisdom. Like, if you have a lot of, who was I listening to that said like,
well, I think he
literally will not hire, the reason he hires people that disagree with him on purpose. And I can't remember who it was, but he was like, I don't want to have a bunch of yes men.
The real issue is you have to have a worldview that anticipates
that
and then has controls for it.
Right.
So, for example, we have what's called a checks and balances system in America, and the ultimate reason for that is the concept of human sinfulness. We need checks and balances because if we give someone too much power, they're going to inevitably use it to corrupt it. And even in that rubric, we found a way to gain power and be corrupt with the quote, two-party system that really just continues the agenda one after the other. So,
yeah,
you know, that's where I'm at. It's we're going to keep cycling through these horrible movements and isms until we recognize that we are the problem.
Yeah.
And once you get a group, a nation in mass to realize that they are the primary problem in their country and in the world, they are the primary problem, then we have hope. See, when I say that we're the problem in America and we as Americans are destroying everybody and all this is not like some act of self-flagellation. I'm saying this because I hate America. Everybody, like, I love America. America's my favorite country on the planet, and I'm sinking or swimming with this country. The reason I'm saying that is so that I have hope that we can change. If I take accountability for where I fuck up, that gives me the power to change it in the future. But if I keep pushing it off, then I don't have the ability to change. So when I talk about all the shit that we've done in the world, I don't care who is in office at the time. I'm not going to say Obama bombed those people. We did that.
Yeah.
One, because I don't believe in like this selective group identification that happens in America. Like, so when your group does something, I'm part of the community. Or when your group is victimized, you're part of that community. But then a representative of your community does something horrible, all of a sudden now you want to be an individual. Like, I'm not with that. If you're going to be a collectivist when things are good, if you're going to be a collectivist when there's grievances, then you have to be a collectivist when somebody in your group does something.
I agree.
So, and the second reason that I take accountability for the bombings of America or whatever is because I am in a democracy, which means you voted those people in. And, you know, you could say, I didn't vote for Obama. Well, if you didn't vote for Obama, then you most likely voted for Bush. Congratulations. Like, none of us can escape this.
The other thing, too,
we've done this.
The other thing, too, is that you'll see, anytime I see somebody put a post like this, look, I'm guilty of this myself, but anytime I see somebody put a post that they're like, wow, basically like, fuck Subway because they put out a sandwich or blah, blah, blah. And they'll put out this aggressive post because they want people to understand how frustrated they are, how they're never going to go back there and stuff like that. But you don't see them post like, wow, fuck America, as if we keep bombing these people. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, exactly. I'm not going to, no, people, you're not, if the person, you're like, oh, you can put out that energy. And again, like I said, I'm not always putting out posts about stuff that I think we need to change. I don't do that. But I'm speaking to myself when I say it. Because you guys will hear me. I went into I mean, I speak about other stuff too, but probably not as much as I should or could. That's the point.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying? Like, you can put that, so that's where it's on an individual level. Like, if we're all doing that, if all of us started doing that, like, if you really think that it's not good that we're bombing these children over there, well, freaking say something about it. And if you think that it's okay that we're doing that, well, then we have another set of issues. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but you're right. Americans are way more apt to complain about a personal inconvenience than they are to actual shed real tears over people that we've actually killed.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, and that makes us the problem.
Right.
The reason
because that's a real practical thing that we can all do. The reason
that they know they can bomb the shit out of everybody is because they know that as long as we have our Subway, we're fine, man. We're completely fine. That's why, like, I was so offended when Rachel Maddow, all these people were supposedly crying over these kids in cages. I knew they didn't give a fuck about those kids, bro. Rachel, if she would have cared about those kids, and she would have talked about it when Obama built them. But see, you couldn't say that during the Trump administration. They say, oh, that's whataboutism. We don't need to talk about it. Okay, well, now Biden's doing it. So now what?
What does it matter? The kids are still in the cages.
So is Biden a Nazi fascist now? Like, it's ridiculous. It's like, we don't learn. Just stop pointing the finger. All this shit is happening in our country because we allow it, and our politicians have read us correctly. Our politicians know that if we bomb the shit out of some kid in Afghanistan, that we're not going to give a fuck because our Starbucks coffee is fine. And they know that. And that's why, and our government knows that we're such gullible people that we can be completely manipulated. So, like, we can see all this human suffering across the planet. Niger, fucking Yemen, Africa, all these places we see humans suffering, not a single, but then we decide that, oh no, the Ukrainians, this a complete, I mean, they look like us. And now everybody's got these little, these Ukrainian flags in their icons. It's like, it's our government has rightly read us. They've rightly read that we are in on it. That's like the biggest thing that people need to realize. All this evil shit that your government is doing in the world, you're in on it. You're the guy in the passenger seat. Like if I do a drive-by, okay, and somebody's driving and another person's in the passenger seat doing nothing, and then I go and all of us are going to prison. You thought I was just in the car. All of us are going to prison. And our government has looked at us, all 280 million of us, and said, listen, man, as long as the gas prices are low and as long as Starbucks and Subway is cool, those people aren't going to give a fuck. Don't worry about it. Let's just kill these people. If they really thought that there was going to be a political price to pay for killing one innocent person, they would not do it.
You're right, because we won't even do. Lots of us have seen that picture. Was it in Germany where all those people are like, like out like this, and you have the one guy that's like this, and everybody thinks that they're that one guy. They want to be that one guy, but you won't even do that posture on Facebook to say that killing all these kids and doing all this stuff is wrong. You wouldn't have been that guy.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been that guy.
Yeah.
I've been thinking so much lately about like, because I always thought I would have been that person, and I'm like, just different points in our life and different, I don't know, like having an honest look at yourself and be like, in what situations would I? Because now I have more kids. Every time I ever thought I would be that person, I had no kids. Yeah. Now I have 7 kids.
And you just got to think about like how that guy would be treated in the modern era. They'd call that guy a they call him a conspiracy theorist. They'd be like, the government is planning to liquidate an entire race of people. Tell us more. You're crazy. Right. That's what they would do. They'd make fun of you. They'd make memes about you, whole 9 yards.
And all of them ate their soup while smelling the stench of burning bodies.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, but it's a good song. I understand the sentiment of the song. To me, the best way to deal with a virus or whatever is to find the root of the issue. It's not to treat the symptoms; it's the root of the issue.
Exactly.
Religious violence is a root given. And look, if you want to look at this from a completely secular standpoint, I mean, what we call sexual assault and murder is how we got here. It's how we became the apex predator on the planet, Homo sapiens. Like that's just a fact. Okay, so like even from a secular perspective, human beings have inherently been violent and rapacious since the beginning. Since the beginning.
Right, yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you have a Christian ideology that talks about original sin, or if you talk about secular ideology which talks about how we became dominant over Neanderthals or whatever.
I see what you're saying.
Like,
okay,
it's a lot of violence and a lot of killing. So it doesn't matter what standpoint you start from. Obviously, with Christianity, you have an actual objective solution. In secularism, there is no solution. It's just, this is what happens. So I think we'd all be better served if we could rightly identify the problem. If we can't rightly identify the problem, we're doomed to another 100+ years of more jihad and killing and all the rest of it until we finally give up and look at ourselves in the mirror and say, we're the problem. Secularism is not the problem. Secularists are the problem. Religious violence isn't the problem. Religious people are the problem. Right. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And that's why speech is so important, because in order for us to figure out the right worldview, there has to be thousands of hours of debate and back and forth in the public square, so people can start being persuaded to have a worldview that's not going to result in millions of dead people. But none of us have been able to figure out a worldview right now that doesn't result in the deaths of millions of people in praxis, right? And so that's kind of where I'm at. 9.4 for me.
Yeah. 9.4, really? I thought it was going to be higher than that, where it had like that neo sound in there, and there was like a lot of transitions and his vocals.
What did you give it?
9.6.
Oh,
wow, I really thought that one was going to be higher for you. Interesting.
All right, dear listener. Very, very,
all right,
very
yes,
well.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes, dear listener.
Tonight was an Alliance stream, but tomorrow, I believe... Wait, no, not tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a surprise for our children. That's tomorrow.
Okay, we have a surprise for our children.
You're the one that told me to book it. And following that, though, the next day, I believe on the 6th, let me just double check so we don't, get shut down for misinformation. Yeah, okay, it is the 6th. Ben's birthday is on the 6th, and we're going to be having a stream at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune in if you want to come to another birthday party.
All right.
Yeah, we will see you guys then. In the meantime, thanks for hanging out, you guys. Thank you again to our patrons. We really do appreciate everything that you guys participate in with us and team up with us on. And we said before, but the March Madness was a huge success in that we made a decent chunk of money that we're going to match, and all that money is going to go toward helping people in our community, and we've already started doing that. And in another cool thing is it's somebody who's been a part of our community for a long time. And, he said, hey, look, just lend me the money. I'll pay you guys back. So that's pretty cool too, because that's going to circulate that money back around. Like that money's going out to help him now, but then the money will come back. It's going to go back out to somebody else. So the more times that we can do that, the more help that we can give to people, the better off that we all are. That's part of why we do what we do. So we're really glad that we have you guys and that you guys are around here for us and with us.
And we're here for you, inshallah. Hope you guys feel
hopefully,
that too.
Yeah, hopefully you guys feel the support that we hope that we're passing to you guys. We love you guys, and we will see you guys in 2 days' time.
Vin out.